Welcome back, everybody, to EGFC. We are in week 6 of our Valorant League. My name is Kevin with a K. Joining me today is one of my very good friends, Captain Adsoka. How are you doing, Cap?
I am doing absolutely swell and all as well. And honestly, I cannot wait to get into this Valorant action because I have been busy all week covering a multitude of esports. But everybody knows I have a place in my heart for Valorant. So I'm ready to see these two top teams getting ready to go head to head. And of course, tonight we're going to have UTA taking on Howard University.
Yep, UTA is a team I have casted for over the course of the season a lot, and they have been killing it. They've got some big playmakers on their team, and Crad and maybe, and then they're going against Howard University, who also have some big hitters on their side. We'll go over the rosters here in just a moment, but we are ultimately looking at, I think, what's going to be a very tight matchup. Here's your rosters. Maybe I got Rain, Crad, Jaquavius on UT Arlington versus Howard's Kenny Cosmic, BMM12, Kai, Ballin, and Neviaj.
Yeah, again, UTA has just been a really good team. And not to mention, they also have a really good program as well. Because UTA, they're not just good at Valorant, they also have a really good Rocket League team. So, again, they have a really great staff and program that's backing them. I'm sure the ones at Howard University also have a really good program. I'm just more familiar with UTAs. I've actually got to sit down, talk, and, have conversations with the players and, of course, the staff at UTA. And I just know they got a lot of support coming from their coaches and, coming from their staff over there. So again, this is going to be a pretty good matchup to say the least. I'm expecting a lot from UTA.
Absolutely. We have our maps already done. We have pick ban completed. On the side of UTA, they have decided to pick Split as their first map, and therefore Howard will be starting on defense. I say therefore because on Split, it's usually a given that you want to start on defense. Howard picked Bind, and similarly to Split, the opposite team has picked defense. That's UTA starting on defense there. And if it comes down to it, our decider has wound up being Haven, with UT Arlington starting defense as well. So going into Split and Bind, Split actually of these three maps, Split is the one that has the most varying team compositions, the most varying strategies behind it. Bind and Haven kind of have more set in stone team comps. So I'm curious to see how the teams are going to match up on Split. I know we've seen a lot of teams bring Reynas. I think Crad actually ran Reyna last time they were on Split. So I would be, surprised if they went toe for toe in, one for one, I should say, on their team compositions.
Yeah, Split and a little bit of Bind. Bind has some leeway there for compositions as well. I've actually seen some players, some universities, they'll come through and I've actually seen a composition where they brought in Deadlock, which was interesting. I don't expect to see that here today, but again, people are experimenting with Deadlock on Bind, which is going to be interesting. Another thing that's interesting about these team compositions for the majority of the season, at least from my experience, the games that I've casted, Ascent has been in nearly every single matchup as one of the three on nearly every single time. This is actually the first time in a while where I haven't seen Ascent as part as that three. And you know what? I'm all here for it just because of the three maps that we do have are going to be pretty interesting. And one of my favorite out of these three is going to be Split. So let's get ready to head into game number 1 to cover Split and see what compositions both of these teams are going to be bringing.
Yep, absolutely. Now, the last time I saw a team play on Split, they didn't. Neither of the teams actually brought a Viper. They opted to go for double Sentinel, but not in the way of Cipher. I shouldn't say double Sentinel, but one Sentinel on each side. Instead of going Cipher, they both went Killjoy. Now we're seeing an ISO immediately locked in, which a lot of teams have not quite experimented with. But Crad loves to bring those characters that are less orthodox and that are more carry oriented.
Now, you see, that's interesting just because, I've gotten a chance to, of course, like play with ISO, but I haven't really seen them implemented in the competitive scene. Of course, not rank competitive. People are always going to play with a new character, but I mean, in this type of scene, in a tournament setting, in a league setting, I have yet to see ISO really come out. But one thing I will say coming from UTA and Howard University is that they are both going to go with the Viper. And we're looking at both double smoke compositions. I'm all here for it. I love this. And I'm just a big fan of Viper. Viper is my favorite agent, so of course I'm going to be biased anytime I see a Viper come out. But on Split, what is intriguing me is the Omen and the Astra, seeing those two different smokes there. And I got to wonder on Split, which one is really going to have the advantage? And you know what? On a map like Split, I think Omen would be a little bit more efficient. But with that being said, with the recent Astra buffs that have gone their way, they could do pretty well on Split. So again, it's going to be interesting to see on how that plays out with a double
Choose your
smoke,
agent.
double duelist composition.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. It's a very common setup to go double duelist, double controller on split, but Astra versus Omen is kind of just a matter of, do you prefer to have better ability at taking sites or to have better ability at post plant slash defending sites, having more options to essentially surprise your opponents or play more variably on different locations, as opposed to Omen, who just brings really solid pressure, not only as a solo agent, but in ideas of pushing towards site, being able to use that paranoia, let's say, to blind all of backside of B so that the rest of you can get on. Astra doesn't really have that same ability, but you sacrifice the ability to have really strong post plants, or the ability to do things like Nova Pulse or Gravity Well, somebody trying to enter, let's say, on A site. So there's definitely a lot of differences that both of those two agents bring, but at the end of the day, they're both controllers and they're both playing to get those circle smokes down, while Viper plays for zone control.
And again, when I'm thinking about like the Astra Viper combo, I'm thinking who's going to be laying down the walls, and I think Viper. So I'm thinking, okay, Viper already has the walls, but I guess having two players that can put up walls can definitely cut down the space of any given map, especially on split, considering how concentrated it is. So again, you can really dissect the map with those two different wall abilities. And again, I have yet to see what ISO can bring to the table, but I'm honestly pretty excited to see Crad go to work on this new agent.
See this push in here. You have using the Viper wall to get that zone control. And we're going to see a teleport. BMM12 looking for behind, but they're all through the Viper wall already. Still could be a valuable flank. At least going to grab one here. Maybe going down, but the other two already on site. And look at the big flank from Jaquavius through ropes. Unable to make anything happen. That's actually tragic. That was all the pressure that they had off of site. And now it's up to Rain to hold 1v2 with no space to move. Claustrophobic BMM12 is going to snipe with the right click onto Rain.
Yeah, but that was a great retake coming from Howard University. Again, I didn't really get to see where the trades were being made. Again, the walls were definitely going to work there in the early skirmish. And I got to tell you, UTA, they went for that entry, and they don't really have a lot of entry to work with. I mean, yes, you have the Sky, and then you have the Rays, and that's about it. I would like to say that ISO kind of had somewhat of an entry there, but it seemed like they were eliminated a little early.
Yeah, that is kind of the case. ISO doesn't really play a fantastic role in entering onto sites, in my opinion. The wall can make some movement happen, but pressing onto A site, you don't really get any coverage onto Heaven. And then the walls of it immediately don't matter once you get past Hell, right? Because you look left, but then you're already getting 50-50 on the Heaven Hell angle. And then after that, the wall is gone. You're not going to be able to see, cover anything from sight. So not a lot of use for there, but Crad on a solo lurk could be very useful.
And let's see what they're going to be able to make of it. Meanwhile, you do have Naviage, apologies, that is going to be operating here up and towards Heaven. Going to be making the peak now, but they're not able to land their shot, and maybe will be able to land theirs, as that is going to be one elimination. And now another coming from Ballin, as we do have a 4v4 now, and you can see the spike is making its way over towards B.
See if they can really get back to the spike. That's going to be the challenge, and challenging it is, as Kenny Cosmic is holding it down, and with only Crad left alive and a lot of space to make up for. I'm not sure that much is going to be happening here. I hope Crad's going to look for maybe a frag or two, but yeah, I don't think that there's much doing in the way of completing this plant in 40 seconds left.
Wow, my eyes are dumb.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, at this point, the best thing you can do is maybe look for an exit frag on your way out, just to get a little bit of the monies, but they didn't have, well, they had little to no health, to say the least. It is going to be Kenny Cosmic to come away with the final LM and a 3-piece. Not a bad anti-eco round coming from UTA, but Howard University, again, looking really strong early on here on split, but now UTA, they're able to buy up.
Yeah, we got the guns, some armory in our pockets, and it is the bonus round for Howard University. I imagine that they're going to... Actually, interestingly enough, they're not playing anything crazy tight angles. As I say that, of course, BMM12 with the judge in the tight corner, but otherwise they're not pushing it.
Well, here we go. Here comes the entry already, and it looks like they're going to go with the same attack as we have seen previously in round one, and pretty much ends the same. That's going to be some eliminations going in the favor of Howard University there. Not too many trades. UTA now down in the player count, 3v4. But good news is that they still have control of the spike. Now the question is, are they going to try and make this push? It looks like Jaquavius is going to try and make their way up top into heaven.
This is a sunk cost fallacy right here. I think they should just abandon ship while they have a chance. I don't think there's any point in pushing into this site, regardless of how many that you know are here, just because you have top ramp pressure. But Jaquavius is able to grab one, and that actually could allow them to push through. They might take ropes and just go to B.
Oh my goodness, Naviage with the head click, with the Sheriff able to put it into their doppelganger. Now only one Viper remains. Meanwhile, iGod has gone full rush onto B site, and at the very least, they might be able to get the plant down. But I gotta say, they have taken a lot of damage and lost a lot of teammates, considering that they had the power of the purse going into this round 3.
Yep, we had that dart from the camera. Gonna be ticking them down, so they knew kind of where they were, what their pacing was, and that they're probably both on site here. And the constriction is occurring. Let's see, they're going to push this both together, although Cypher is isolated. Now it's 2v2. They can make this happen. Oh, 1v1, and Ballin, a little bit shaky on the initial shots there, but when you're spray transferring like that, you got to stabilize, and Ballin was able to do so to close out that round for Howard University, winning their bonus and bankrupting UT Arlington.
Yeah, that was a big bonus round. I mean, Howard University, with somewhat of a broken bye, you know, was able to come out and get the dub. And again, like you were saying, it was that spray trade that really just was off the mark. And not only that, but it feels bad because the blind had landed. The bird was on target, and they still weren't able to get the elim. And again, what shoulda coulda been a UTA round win is going to go down and by the wayside. But we do have our first timeout coming from UTA, which means it is now time for the Atsoka and Kevin with the K show. And I like taking the timeouts because it gets us a little time to banter. So one thing I want to ask you, why we got this timeout, are you team Vandal or team Phantom? What are you picking?
Look, it's Vandal for me all day, and it's not because I don't see the value in the Phantom. It's a personal preference at the end of the day, and I've been eaten up by the 140s too often,
Oh, 100%. I also started out as Team Vandal, but I also made the switch to Team Phantom because, I had the pleasure of casting some really, high tier games. I got to see some pretty impressive pros play, and the way that they use the Phantom inspired me. So I was like, at the least case scenario, I can learn how to use the Phantom in case I ever have to pick it up. So that way I can get good with it. And then eventually I just started falling in love with it. And then of course I ended up getting a pretty good skin. And once you get the good skin, you just can't go back to, a gun that didn't have a good skin, right? Skins get wins.
Can't argue with that. It's probably a good philosophy too, is just to try to get good with the gun, so that way if you do find it valuable to play it, or if you're not feeling the Vandal, then being prepared on the other ones is useful. So good tip there for everybody listening at home. That's definitely something I recommend everybody try.
Cage trigger. Well, here we go. We're going to start things off early, and already Howard University, with the power of the purse, able to get the first elimination. Spike, however, did make its way all the way onto a site. It doesn't look as though they're going to stick the plant just yet. Finally, they are going to go back. iGod now going to be laying down the plant, and the spike will begin to tick away.
Seekers are coming out. They're getting information that clears all through screens for them. They are likely certain that nobody is hell, so they're just going to be going down the corner very quickly themselves. Although fighting up a little bit more than they can chew, as the attackers are able to grab multiple. But Kenny Cosmic might be able to make this one happen with the showstopper available. The satchels are coming out. One is, I was gonna say, gonna be secured, but the end lag from the satchel just takes a little too long, and Krad is able to close the headshot in that time.
You know what? Again, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm capping, say captain's capping, but I'm pretty sure Krad went into that with the Phantom as a hero buy. Like, everybody bought down. It was quarter shields all the way around. Again, it was really a low buy, and then Krad was the only one that went with the Phantom, the hero Phantom. And then that is what ended up getting the last elimination. That's amazing because, I see the hero buys come out a lot, and I see that strat. It works, it's viable, but at the same time, it's rare that I'll actually see it kind of like pay off in league play. So again, it's just really nice to see that the hero buy actually did its job there in round 4.
Yeah, speaking of that payoff, that was a timeout payoff right there. They timed out. They came up with a strategy to go with the hero gun, and it worked. Now, we do have the kill contract coming in, and Krad is able to sign that contract, sending Ballin to the River Styx.
That's got to be one of the most fun ultimates in the game. Just because, you know, because we see it all the time, and it's not just in Valorant, it's in a lot of esports. Some people just don't respect the 1v1, you know, and this ultimate, it makes you put respect on the 1v1. Sometimes you got to let the homies hash it out.
It's true. It's really annoying to get hit by that just by sheer nature of where the walls are. But the Frenzy, Kai's going to be able to pick up a gun for themselves. With 1v4, though, I think you have to try to make a play here. You have the eco for buys on the next round. So, you know, you try to take away some guns from the side of the attackers because of how hard they had to force up here. Even with that hero buy from before, if you could have taken out 1 or 2 more, then they would have had a questionable conversation of do we force or do we not. As I say that, though, UT Arlington looks incredibly wealthy, so it's possible they wouldn't have had an issue there regardless. And a lot of light shields that Howard's having to purchase now. That timeout really did a number.
Yeah, it really did. And right now I'm liking the buys coming from the side of UTA right now. Again, like you said, they have enough credits to retire on, but look at this. We made a discussion about the Vandal versus the Phantom, and right now UTA is throwing a Phantom tantrum. Everybody is coming through with the Phantom this time around. Let's see if it pays off for them as round number 6 is completely underway, and already Crad will be eliminated.
Unfortunate, just couldn't find the headshots. The shoulder up against the wall kind of made it a little bit difficult to readjust the crosshair, but look at how quickly UT Arlington is transferring that up ropes and through with this amazing Viper wall, and Rain is able to hit Kai and take out one of the last defenders, although the lurk final from BMM12 with the Judge. The smoke is a great play here. You might be able to find 2 if you can find the shots, and 2 is what they find.
And you know what? It's so funny because, again, the Judge on split hits diff. It's true. I'm sorry, but when you are going on to split, the Judge is one of the best weapons that you can bring. And I don't know if I'm late to the party or not, but I heard that the Judge was getting the nerf, and I'm wondering if the nerf had came through already. Even if it did, fantastic lurky turkey coming from the Omen of Howard University.
Absolutely. BMM12 with the correct choice there. Just waiting it out, knowing after you shoulder peeked the box there that the plant was on the opposite side. The plant was for heaven, essentially. Throwing that smoke to create the chaos. Yes, the Viper's Pit actually created even more chaos, but throwing the smoke to ensure that you wouldn't get shot from heaven while you push the smoke to kill the planter was a great idea. But the adaptation to be able to pivot when it didn't work out exactly like that is what really made it great.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, baiting, because you were able to bait out that Viper's Pit. So now you don't have to worry about it for 9 orbs. Like, it takes 9 special orbs or, you know, 9 ult points just to get that ultimate back. So now you're not going to have to worry about the Viper's Pit for a very long time.
What you might have to worry about here is maybe's Showstopper, though. Kenny Cosmic holding tight angles with the Stinger. This is going to be a tough one to make happen, but looking for information. Maybe takes a lot of damage as they satchel out. And trying to push 2 here, but clearing angles together is actually going to allow Rain to make the trade, because Kenny Cosmic has to reload that small pack on the Stinger. Showstopper's out.
And out goes the Showstopper, and it connects. Now we have ourselves a 3v3. And it's so interesting, you know, because, again, a lot of people just say, or a lot in the community consider the Showstopper as just kind of like a zoning instrument to clear sight, because as soon as they hear that here comes the party, everybody heads for the hills, they clear sight. But at the same time, if you're a sharpshooter with it, you could definitely find a mark or 2.
Yeah, and especially when the zones on split are so small. The BMM12 goes for the tap here and is going to shrouded step back to the back corner. They didn't hear it. They don't know where they are. Rain is just holding against the box, the right choice, but these smokes are really chaotic.
Again, the smoke does dissipate, and it will be Jaquavius to find the final elimination, and they will walk away from round 7 with a 3K. Not bad at all. And right now, you can see, you look at the elimination spread, and even though that UTA is down a round, and clearly Howard University have been top fragging here, it does look like UTA is actually sharing a lot more of their eliminations. It's a little bit more evenly spread.
Seeing a setup for an A push here again as usual. With the defensive Viper wall blocking off top ramps and lower ramps. But the Cosmic Divide does come out, which is going to make it a lot easier for the shot. No!
Oh, yes. I'm not even sure sure. I'm not even confident what got them eliminated. Did they TP into the poison? Like, did they TP into the snake bite and then get eliminated? Because again, there was a lot to unpack there. Lordy, watch out for these shorties. But at the end of the day, you know, the judge is just gonna do what it does. So I mean, you got two. Oh my, you got again 2 bullets with the shorty, and then you only need 1 from that sheriff when it's in the hands of Neviage. See Crad now trying to hold and trying to stave off this retake.
I got a nice shot there. Gonna probably swing again on the corner here. Doesn't find what they're looking for because Crad takes out Ballin, but Neviage finds Rain, giving the information away though to allow Crad to swing and take out Neviage to secure another round for UTA, evening up the scoreline to 4-4.
Well, how about that? And now we have ourselves yet another timeout, which means it's also time for another Kev with a K in that Soka show. We got ourselves a minute, and I got to tell you, so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. But, you know, we always talk about Split, and, you know, it's a little bit of chaotic. What do you think of ISO's performance on Split here so far?
I don't think it's as valuable as one might think. Yes, you have an agent, a duelist agent that does not have movement abilities on a map that doesn't really require a lot of movement abilities to take sight, but ISO does not have the abilities that work well for taking either site, right? Like let's say theoretically you pushing B and you use the contingency at an angle towards that back box or back site that kind of keeps Heaven at bay for just a moment. That's the best case scenario, that nobody pushes through it or it has an angle even higher above it on Heaven to shoot you. And then on A, we already knew the same situation. Using the contingency straight down the line doesn't clear any angles for you. So the contingency doesn't make any difference. Double tap only makes a difference if you get a kill, similar to how Reyna has, but you don't have a blind. Your vulnerable isn't actually useful almost in any situation because it goes through walls, but what walls does it go through that you're able to swing to make use of it? So ultimately, maybe as a lurk agent, it could be useful, but just bring Phoenix at that point.
Kev with a K, straight spitting, because I couldn't agree more, to be honest. Again, maybe at some way down the line, you know, there will be a meta figured out for ISO. But as of right now, you know, I think it may be a little bit still too early, but let's see how this goes. They are setting up for the 1v1. I think that's the 1v1. Yes, here we go. Time to go to the arena. K-Tad comes out on top, easy elims, and now it's a 5v4 as the push is on to the B site.
4 agents on defense, all clumped up around stairs. They need to get pressure out, but the angles are being held. Crad clears one in Heaven, and I mean, it's a lot of space that has been taken for the attackers here. And with the numbers advantage, it's just a matter of closing out the kills, of which Crad is able to do. Partial thanks to the double up there, or the double tap, excuse me, to be able to shield one of the points of damage. And that's the kind of situation where having ISO is useful, but is it more useful than, say, having a Reyna that can do something very similar but provide, you know, more consistent value across the game, or an entirely different duelist agent with, you know, a different set of options, say Yoru with a flash, etc. Like a lot of different things there to consider, but all that we are really seeing here that ISO is bringing value for is the fact that Crad is a sharp shooter.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what you really need to bring to ISO to make them effective. Like, if you put ISO in my hands, they're not going to be worth much of anything. But if you put them in the hands of somebody that is really good and is really a crack shot, then they could be a very viable duelist. And right now they are top fragging, so they're doing what the duelist is supposed to do at the very least. But now we are underway in round number 10 as Howard University looks as though they are on an eco round here. And now Kai turns the corner and gets dealt with by Jaquavius.
All the mid pressure is in favor of UT Arlington, but on the flank is Howard's EMM12 again, although getting caught right there because intelligently so, Jaquavius was holding in sewers waiting. And now that they've gotten more numbers in their favor, it's just a matter of time for them to plant and get control of all of the extremities.
A ball now towards alleyway, but is going to be dealt with. And there you go. The last one will fall for Howard University, and it's going to be a flawless victory for the side of UTA, who will now go up 2 rounds over Howard.
Howard has some money, but it looks like they might have tried a hero gun there as well, because Kai is very, very poor. The rest of them have good enough buys as it is, but with Viper's Pit and Seekers available for both sides, I would imagine, I would hope that they're utilizing this round to drop the Viper's Pit. But I guess they're just going to play reactive. We'll see.
Well, here we go. Round 11 now underway. And this could be an opportunity for Howard University if they make the most of what they have. But it will be BMM to find the dirt first, as they will be eliminated. And now another 1v1 potential here, as we do go right back to the arena, to the gulag. And it will be Crad to get that elimination on Neviage.
So fast. Crad is so good with it. And that's the kill contract is incredibly valuable on Scorpion. So that's something that I didn't really talk about too much. I'll get into it a little bit more after this round because it's more even than I thought, as Kai takes out Jaquavius and is able to pick up an actual gun. So all of that eco difference that we saw before actually doesn't really matter too much. Big flank here. Crad has to know. Doesn't though. Kai just grabs Crad and is gonna grab a second one, pushing onto site. And what happened so quickly? It fell apart for UT Arlington, all because there wasn't enough thought into where Kai could have been after they got the kill on Jaquavius.
Well, and you see, you were even asking, like, how did they not check that flank? How do they not know? And honestly, like, Cypher in and of themselves is not, people don't consider them a very viable character. I mean, they do have their uses, but people, I don't really think, associate Split with Cypher. Not often anyway. So whenever Cypher does come in, that amount of information that they bring can definitely go a long way. And they were able to use the neural theft in that last round, and that just gave them so much information that I think the entire squad was able to predict whether or not they were going to catch Kaj on the flank.
Yeah, the chaos definitely contributed there, like you're saying. Now we do have an A hit. It's a big hit, no lurkers. We just got full action happening here. And Kai peeks the wall, holding an aggressive angle on top ramps, but Ballin is able to kill maybe on the lower ramps, so the rest of the team gets control on Heaven, yes, but they might try to rotate out here. That's exactly why Howard U is leaving BMM 12 on B site, and it's also why UT Arlington hasn't rotated yet.
And, again, just asking a little bit more information onto ISO, because, again, I haven't really got to see them in a competitive setting. When they do get that double tap, that extra little piece of armor, is it on a cooldown? Does it disappear eventually, or does it only go away after receiving damage?
It's, I think, on a timer and after receiving damage. So I don't know if the time is, I want to say it's like 10 to 15 seconds that it's available and up, but then it goes away after that time.
Okay, very
Or after
interesting.
taking 1 point of damage, yeah.
Right, checks out. Again, I'm glad, because if it didn't disappear at some point, I'd be like, okay, this is broken. But regardless, we can see now that the spike is going to be making its way over to A site. Ballin able to get the elim on Brad. That a little extra bit of armor clearly wasn't there. And now out goes the Viper's Pit. We're going to try the Viper's Pit on A second time and see if it works out for UTA.
That almost felt like Jaquavius forgot they had Viper's Pit and just dropped it immediately when they could have done it before. But oh my god, 3 kills off the back end there, just holding the lower ramps, and is able to find everybody that was about to push into the Viper wall. And Neviage, the one that was already close enough to get in there, is taken out due to it. So that was a fantastic play. That was looking really dire for UT Arlington at that time, but IGOD made a huge play.
You know what's even crazier still is that Jaquavius, they committed to using that Viper's Pit. So it was literally a Viper's Pit inside of a Viper's Pit. At least that's what it appeared to me. I couldn't tell. There was so much green going on in there. It just looked like 2 jellos kind of like melding together. But yeah, that's what it looked like. It did look like as though they both called in that Viper's Pit. And again, understandable, just because, it's round 12. So you might as well just use everything that you have. But regardless, we are now at the reset here. We are at halftime, and now it's time to go back to the pistols, and it's going to be Howard University's chance to try and attack.
I like this, holding really defensively, thinking that with double duelist they might push, especially with Sky Flashes available, although Sky Flash for B. Now, ISO does have a lot of value on defense with the undercuts. Being able to hear a push, throw your undercut, and then peek and just spray hard. You might just, by virtue of hitting 2 bullets with like a Vandal, take out multiple people. So there is some, value that is to be said on defense that we don't talk about too much because it's a duelist. But again, not necessarily something that would overshadow, somebody else another duelist, or just another agent in general's defensive capabilities. So it's just a matter of, I guess, playing variability, but kind of weak variability at that.
Okay, so I gotta ask you, and again, I should probably save this. You know what? I'm gonna save it in case we get another Kevin with the K in at Soka show, because again, I think it's a good topic that we will cover. But you know, talking about round 13, the pistols going very slow with the spike finally making its way up and towards heaven. On towards the B side. Here comes the swing ball, and is there ISO will be the first to get dealt with. The trades are being made, and maybe finds two back-to-back limbs there, staving off the pressure. As BMM will be the next on the chopping block, and only Kai remains the lone Cypher. Trying to make magic happen. They do find one limb, but they too will be gunned down.
Kai almost had the second one there, but with two other people coming up quickly onto heaven, I think that was going to be a win for UTA. Either way, in any case, 8-5 with another bye here. And I think it's correct for Howard University to not panic, to just save, play default, normal game plan, go for the bye on the third round after pistol, and there's not a lot of pressure, I guess is what I'm getting at here, with only 8 rounds in the pocket. Now, when it gets to 10, and you've had your buy round and you've lost it, that's when you should start panic and maybe consider a force.
Oh, here we go now. Round number 14 underway, and you can see Kai, again, lining up into the sewer, trying to get any additional information for someone, trying to push, but Cred through the wall with the air. He's able to connect with one, and now I got on the push, finds another. And my goodness, what a start on the defense from UTA. They read that push like a pop-out.
Yep, maybe grabs one, Jaquavius grabs another, and only one loss for UT Arlington. But that loss is ultimately what gave them the win, taking out 2 and damaging a 3rd. So good stuff from UT Arlington. Not a lot of losses. Didn't allow the plant to go down for Howard, so no additional money. Sans the 1 kill. That's the best thing that you could ask for the most part.
Oh, absolutely. And now we're going into the bye round for the side of Howard University, and a potential bonus round for UTA. You got to remember, in the first half, Howard University was able to secure the bonus. Let's see if UTA will be able to return the favor as round 16, or rather round 15, is now underway.
My eyes are on BMM 12, who has decided to run an attack judge. Oh, and there it is. That is what we're talking about. The undercut came out. Crad was able to grab ball in real fast, but BMM 12 ran so fast, got Crad. Kenny Cosmic got iGod, but 2 more were traded back, and the numbers advantage is still for UTA, as is the space.
And now you can see the spike will go down 3v2, but you have to remember UTA are very good. They have 2 rifles in hand, and now Kenny Cosmic able to make do with 1. Kai, the lone player remaining now, has a vandal. In this 1v2 scenario, they go for the swing, but they can't connect, and it will be UTA to come in clutch and put themselves in the double digits.
So I'm going to rewind the tape a little bit, and I'm going to remind Howard University now is the time to consider panicking. This is the 10-5. You lost your bonus round, maybe, or lost your buy round, I guess, on the opponent's bonus. Maybe you should force, and it looks like they're going to light buy for the most part, still have enough for next round, but they're definitely not trying to hold any additional change in the pocket. They're sending every bit of money that they can afford to. Now, round 11 will, 11th win, I should say, is going to be the real kicker.
Here we are now, round 16. Already started, maybe throws out the util. They find in a limb. Good early pick there. And not much doing other than that. This is an eco round for the side of Howard University. And that's what comes with the danger of losing the bonus round. You know, if you allow the other team to get the bonus, then you've all but guaranteed that they're going to pick up another round after that. So again, UTA looking really strong here in the second half on split.
Toxin screen down.
Got 2 towards A with the bomb. Everybody holding default on the defense is going to make this difficult to make anything happen. Undercut comes out, and Neviage is going to back off. No point in trying to contest that with only a sheriff in hand. Now there's 3 defenders, UT Arlington in mid, hunting, searching for where the attackers might be.
Careful here.
Oh, look at iGod just playing with this Viper wall right now. Virgins go out, but it's not going to matter because they go down, and so does Kenny Cosmic. You can see Neviage will also find their way onto the chopping block. Maybe gets the final elimination. And just like that, UTA are on the cusp of match point.
Here's the timeout that you're talking about. By the way, the flawless round is going to make this really, really difficult. Not being able to take out any guns for UT Arlington means that they not only have to win this round, but they have to win at least one more round and possibly two just to get eco advantage.
Yep, well, here we are. It's time again for the Kevin with the K and the Etsoka show, and I'm going to hit you with this one real quick. Since the introduction of ISO, and of course, I'm talking about with literally the launch of ISO, is ISO the new Instalock duelist?
God, no. I hope not. I mean, I think... So, here's the thing. Kill Contract is super fun, super great, right? I don't think the rest of ISO's kit is particularly interesting or fun. If you have somebody that wants to play for Kill Contract and finds Double Tap to be a really, like, rewarding skill, then yeah, they're going to insta-lock ISO because Kill Contract is super fun as an ultimate. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't think that it's, like, super carry, hard carry potential. Again, it might be just an underexplored meta, though.
Okay, so who are the kids insta-locking still these days?
Reyna's still a good one. Jet, I think, is surprisingly still a good insta-lock. But, even more surprising than that is I feel like people aren't insta-locking duelists as often as they used to be.
Nicey, thank you. That is actually, that right there is a positive note that the times are changing. Because I gotta tell you, there was nothing more infuriating than jumping into a lobby and all of a sudden you have 4 insta-lock duelists. Like, it has literally happened to me all the time. And I never play duelists. Why? Because more often than not, there's already one that's being insta-locked. So, like, I literally don't have a duelist that I play. I mean, if I were to pick one, it'd probably be Raze. But yeah, I don't have a duelist in my back pocket.
People still aren't playing smokes, though, so don't rely on that. You might still have to fill that.
That's me. I play smokes.
Oh, good. Then you're good. People still don't pick that role, so you're fine.
I fill the role that nobody wants to play. So for a while, I was a sentinel, but then the double smoke meta came out, so now I play a lot of smokes.
I like that. Fill agent. That's the way to go. Look at the space that BMM12 is taking. Just this one smoke. Although pinch between two and spraying through the smoke is going to be a surefire way to take out anybody that can only be hiding in a small section. Aquavius peeks, wide swings, hitting Cosmic to take him out, and Ballin caught peeking the wrong way. Maybe he's going to slap the back, and Jaquavius is going to defuse. Round 12, 12th win, I should say. Round 17 is the round that this one was, but the 12th win, one remaining on this game. Howard University has no money, and their hopes are looking just as low.
Can you remind me, whose map pick did this belong to? Was this Howard or was it UTA?
This was UTA's pick.
Okay, all right. Now this is making a little bit more sense. I got to tell you, like UTA again, when they were on the offensive side, they were looking a little shaky here and there, but I got to tell you, on the defense, my goodness, they just woke up.
Don't disagree with you there. And Krad is making ISO look really, really strong as a defending agent, using the undercuts really well timed. And it's more that Howard University doesn't know how to adapt to backing off before the undercut comes out, or baiting it out, or trying to swing angles together. It's difficult. You have to play around it a lot more stringently than you might before, but they're not used to that. So I think that's a big play and why ISO is working so well for Krad. And then, of course, the fact that Krad can just hit shots with or without visibility. Kill Contract is out.
Oh my, Krad is cracked. I think that's gonna be like a new saying. Krad, if it's not already a saying, Krad is just cracked. But regardless, speaking of ISO, after clearly, that was just we're done here. That's gonna be 13 rounds in the favor of UTA. They're gonna take game number 1. But speaking of ISO, I wanted to ask, for put it in layman's terms, for someone who may not be too familiar with ISO, when they land that uppercut, does it just like ignore enemy shields when they're hit? Like what is the effect of that?
So the undercut is just a vulnerable. So same as like Viper's snake bite. Whenever somebody hits it, it doesn't deal any damage to them, but they take double damage.
Okay, so they receive the double damage. Okay, understandable. Gotcha. And it's funny that you said that about the snake bite, because I was pretty sure the snake bite does deal damage.
The snake bite deals damage. The undercut does not.
Okay, there we go. All right, understood. Oh man, no wonder I love the snake bite so much. It does several things. But regardless, that is going to be UTA taking game number 1 on Split on their map pick. But again, reminder, we got Bind coming up next, and that one was picked by Howard University.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the adaptation is on their own map pick. Bind is one of those maps that you can, normally play like a good shell of a comp, but have one or two agents that you can swap out in a super favorable way if you have the strategy for it. Yoru is a good example. Phoenix is a good example. But we'll have to see what that brings. For now, we're going to go to a break before we get into our second game of Bind. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back getting into game 2 for University of Texas at Arlington versus Howard University. We're going to bind. We alluded to some of the thoughts that we had about what the team composition was going to look like going into this one, but this is Howard University's pick, and if they win this one, they'll go to a more neutral haven with a more defined setup. So I'm assuming and I'm imagining that both teams are going to want to come into bind with something to upset their opponent.
And you know what? I really don't think it was until just now that I realized that my favorite maps are the three-sided maps, like both Haven and Lotus. Like I love both of those maps, and I think it was just now that I realized that. That's interesting how that works, an epiphany, if you will. But regardless, we're heading to bind. No three-site map here. This is just going to be the classic two-site, and of course, you are going to have those teleporters there, which do make again a little bit of an interesting change of pace from here and there. Again, I think the teleporters on bind is what makes it so unique, and again, it just makes it really, really fun in all aspect, whether you're playing ranked or casual. Watching the plays go down and teleport, and honestly, nothing to me is more fun than watching Raze throw a showstopper or some nades into the teleport and someone across the map gets dealt with. That is just peak Valorant.
I agree. Teleporters definitely make Bind unique, but another thing that makes Bind unique to every other map, in the way that it has more of a traditional no verticality, like I say no verticality, I mean like fracture, and that doesn't have that kind of odd setup. Unlike all the other maps, it's one of the only maps that does not have a mid lane. So there are two angles that you can approach each site from. There are the wings, which are very important to take pressure on, not only for the fact that like the teleporter from long can be a big reason to rotate off, but also just having that ability to pressure the wings and force your entire team out on the bathrooms or out on be long. You don't even have to clear short. You don't even have to clear hookah. So it's super valuable to take pressure on those wings, but there's no mid lane, so you have to have pressure on those wings. So you there's no other option.
Yeah, and I think that's why that teleport is there as well, because again, you have A main and then you have hookah. Clearly hookah is, is like B main, and then you have A main, which is the alley to A towards lamps. So I think that teleporter between lamps and hookah kind of compensates for not having a mid lane. You still don't have the mid lane, but you do have that traversal element with the teleporter, and I think that is actually again just what makes bind so much fun to play on. And with that being said, again, with bind, I can, there's always the argument, is bind offensive sided, defensive sided, and you know what? It's just with UTA, with their last defensive performance on split, I'm wondering if that type of defensive prowess is going to carry over onto bind as well.
That's a good question. The agent composition for UT Arlington right now is fully standard, like the highest pick rate comp, very normal, with the exception that instead of running Chamber, who is more of like a kill heavy, pick heavy, holding like one of the wings type of sentinel, not really a sentinel type of sentinel. They're running ISO, a not really duelist type of duelist who has similar capabilities to hold the wings, right? Contingency actually does hold a lot of value. Let's say on the defense, if you decide to hold B long, pushing your contingency down B long, you can isolate fights by sheer nature of how far up somebody is in B long, right? They have to either be side by side pushing through your contingency, or they're going to get isolated like naturally. And then that on top of like the undercut, you can hold the entirety of a wing. Same thing for bathrooms. It's the same situation. So I see a lot more value that ISO can provide on defense here than on split. And similarly, pretty good value on offense. Being able to push out of hookah with the contingency is super valuable. I think there's a lot of options in how you angle that to isolate fights. And then the same thing for short. Obviously, being able to not have to worry about U-Haul pressure and push the rest of your team to site is really nice. So I like ISO on this map a lot better, especially as a chamber replacement. I think it's really, really good. Granted, you don't have the power of running an operator on defense, which is a lot of the power that chamber provides. But you sacrifice that for additional kill power, additional pressure on the wings.
Yeah, well, here we are, round number 1 now underway. The pistol round, as you can see, Crad gonna be held up there right next to the teleporter. As the nades do land, the paint shells have just dealt so much damage. They only have 2 health remaining. Great nade, great paint shells to start things off. And now in hookah, Jaquavius able to get an elimination there onto BMM, and now looking to find another, but no, Naviage is going to be the final Viper standing here in round 1.
Still got 4 alive for the attackers. They have all the pressure on site that they need. The smokes are down. The retake is going to be difficult, but look at Crad in hookah gonna look for something here, but can the team wait long enough? It looks like they're gonna try to find fights even before Krad is available, but Krad still finds one. With 2 health remaining, he is able to grab a headshot, but Neviaj grabs Krad back. The site is being pushed now. Everybody is stuck under tunnel, but is that to their downfall? Howard University with 1 remaining. Kenny Cosmic falls to iGod, and the retake, looking as improbable as it was, goes to the side of UT Arlington on pistol.
I was not thinking UTA was getting that retake. Like, I really wasn't. Like, if I could be honest, like, I slept on UTA for sure. I'm like, okay, round 1, Howard University. But honestly, Krad. I mean, Krad came in clutch, 2 health to their name, and then they just come up with the cheekiest flank from Hookah, and then all of a sudden, all the attention's on Hookah. So that allows for an entry for the rest of UTA to try and come from U-Haul, and then all of a sudden, they're fragging out on site. And really, Howard University got pinned on site in that tube or next to it and around it. They got pinched. So again, UTA just literally came in with a big bait and switch.
There's that undercut allowing maybe to push up here with the Viper wall. Undercuts all the people on the right so they don't feel comfortable pressing to the left side, and then they can push to the left for free. Although Krad got a little aggressive and Kai is able to grab one back. Maybe kills Neviaj though. And Kenny Cosmic kills Jaquavius. The double force here is what's keeping the numbers even. However, if Howard University loses this, they're going to be in for a real rough round 3. Ooh, NASCAR strategy.
Yeah, you also got to look at the health. I mean, both Brim and the Sky from Howard University are insanely low. They're one shot.
Definitely. Now all 3 members of the defense are together. They're able to grab Kai, but Kai grabs one on the back end. Health bars are looking about equal for both sides of the heal.
Last player standing. Last player standing.
And there was the 1v1. Good by just getting it to half. That is so crucial. That just saves you so much time. And now pros don't fake. And neither does iGod. They stick the defuse. And they get the final on limbs. Nice little cherry on top for the round 2.
We didn't have to be your
That was definitely like a health differential right there. Rain did not have as low health as Kenny Cosmic and was able to heal iGod back to full. Kenny Cosmic, obviously, as Sky cannot heal themselves and got body shot for a quick death, was not able to take the full gunfight that they wanted to right there. So good stuff. UT Arlington not getting, I don't want to say baited, but not losing to what could have been a surprise force round from Howard University, and Howard is now poor again.
Yeah, and again, that was some risky business there in round number 2 coming from Howard. You know, trying to match the broken buy that, you know, UTA was bringing to the table. It's not necessarily a full buy, but again, you know, working with a budget there, and now Howard University is going to have to pay the price. As you said, they are broke, but they do manage to get the first elimination onto Krad. Again, Krad in that corner has just been getting so much damage dealt to them every single time, and now it looks like Howard University could be coming away with, I would want to call this a thrifty round, but I don't know. Do the Stingers still qualify as thrifty?
Good question. We might find out, but maybe Jaquavius are going to try to prevent that if they can. Taking out 2 members of Howard University, and it's 3v3 on the retake. Some guns for UTA, some guns for Howard.
Yeah, been a finite amount of time for UTA to come in and try and get the retake here. As you see, maybe the Guardian trying to provide cover as they do manage to find 1 elimination. Jaquavius finds another, and the paint shells are on target, but the Molly's still there. Is there enough time to go for the defuse? Oh yeah, they made it to half. They're great. UTA with a bonus round to start things off here on Bind.
Started off looking really good for Howard University. The only space that UT Arlington wanted to take was long. They pressed 2 people aggressively into long and garden area, and the rest of UTA was nowhere else, right? Nobody pushed up bathrooms. Nobody pushed out hookah. Well, they didn't really have the opportunity to because they were getting pressed there, so they backed up. Viper backed up. But they didn't press anybody A short, so they all had to rotate back out, and it kind of looked like once they lost all pressure in long, that they were caught with their pants down. They had no pressure anywhere else on the map. The rest of the 3 were rotating back for the retake. So it was looking dire, but they did not panic, recognized the availability to have success in that round with the gun advantage that they had, and secured it very nicely.
Yeah, well, now you can already see that the danger has has been staved, but Neviage again putting it into Crad. Crad has been peaking on the entry of every single round, and you know, for the last two, they were eliminated immediately. So again, a lot of danger there, and they managed to actually push Neviage and company off of that A main site, but then they chased. You know, that's where the big problem is that they're chasing for a lot of these frags, and unfortunately for Crad, it just hasn't paid off yet.
Yeah, the benefit to it, though, is that Crad is able to create enough space for maybe to get up short and grab that one pick from virtue of being that close up. Might find another one here onto Ballin, and does. Ballin doesn't realize, pulls out the Boombot and loses it for that. Now, Neviage does take out iGod, as they're going to try to push onto site here with only one in the backside. Of course, they want support.
Just a cheeky trade there onto A. I mean, not much doing. As you can see, Kai now in the mid knows exactly where this raise is. They're going to be holding down towards the side.
30 seconds
in towards
left.
boxes now. And it will be Kai to win that 1v1, but they do get traded out. And now we're back to another 1v1. Jaquavius taking on Kenny Cosmic as the spike will go down on towards that B site.
Not a whole lot of time to move up into different space, though. Now, hearing the spike go down and knowing that the spike probably went down front site, they're pretty confident that Sky could not be in some specific angles, but you have to watch the elbow now, and pulling out the knife to try to walk faster around the elbow, not realizing that Kenny Cosmic is pushing it. Because why would you push elbow when you could just hold safely from either, you know, more shallow in elbow or from garden or long? Now, it's just a good play from Kenny Cosmic, a very heads-up play to play aggressively there, and Jaquavius fell under the pressure.
Yeah, now the money situation starting to look a little bit better, you know, at least for the most part. It is still somewhat broken. I wouldn't really say it's really, you know, really astounding on either side. You do see a couple of quarter shields coming out from UTA, and then University still not able to really fully buy up. So again, right now the economy for both teams are just kind of in shambles.
Committing that orbital strike and not finding anything off of it except for knowing that nobody's U-Haul, but then not being able to pressure into U-Haul fast enough. So maybe he's able to grab one through the wall on Ballin. And the wall drops, so iGod grabs Kai, iGod grabs Kenny Cosmic. Bomb is down, and the only saving grace for that was Neviage being able to push all the way to the back of U-Haul, but iGod finds that one too. The MM12 does find Jaquavius, though, before getting taken out by Maybe. And the defenders with a very solid and very strong defense. And Howard had a game plan there, but it was based mostly off of prediction instead of, you know, execution.
Yeah, I think they were trying to call out that, you know, UTA was going to be like held up in lamps, you know, over towards teleporter, which honestly, you know, the side of UTA, especially Crowd, they love crowding the teleporter. So, I mean, I get it. I mean, if they're not crowding the teleporter on A, you know, sometimes they're crowding it on B, but this time it didn't even look as though they were even really 3 or even 4 stacking on A. It looked pretty split. So again, that orbital strike was off the mark. But now, once again, it's time for the captain and Kev with a K show, as we are now in our first halftime here on to Bind. Okay, real quick, what skin do you have on your Vandal right now?
Prime. I'm an OG.
Okay, heard that. What's your favorite skin though?
Oh, that's a good question. So I like Prime for a while. I like the high-pitched laser sounding. It was very satisfying. It made it feel like hitting headshots was easy. Pew, but pew. Now I really like the sound and the feel of like Reaver and some of those deeper, more thicker ones, but that don't have like a disgusting animations like Elder Flame. So I'm still in that kind of OG pack area with Reaver, but for now, I think that's the one I like the most. What about you?
Currently, my favorite skin that I have is on my Phantom. I got the Xeno Hunter. One, because I'm basic and I just love anything that's affiliated with Xenomorphs, which is awesome. And then also because I actually got the Xeno Hunter in my Nightfall. For once, my Nightfall actually gave me something good that I wanted, and it was the one that had the highest discount on it. So I was like, I'm just gonna scoop it.
Nice. I like that. That's always, it feels good when you get your night market giving you something that you actually like or want. That's so satisfying.
It's the first time it's ever happened.
It's the first time for everything, and first time that Krat has actually held long here, finding a lot of value from it.
You just had to curse it, didn't you?
Yeah.
they
know
did.
exactly.
In your defense, they did manage to hold. They did manage to hold long. But the problem is, and I don't even know if it's a problem. You know, maybe it's just their play style. But whenever they do get one, you give them an inch, they try and take a mile, and then they often chase. They chase a lot of these frags, and you know, it just really puts them into a corner. Again, they're just a little bit too elimination hungry.
Yeah, that was the first time that Crowd was able to push long successfully,
down
but
A.
unfortunately they got a little too aggressive. They should have just taken the pick and backed off, but they really like that aggression. That said, it's now 2v2 and the plant didn't get down.
It looked like there was a
30
Viper's pit
seconds
at
left.
some point. I'm not sure what happened. Well, clearly, you know, Viper was eliminated, so we lost the Viper's pit. But now maybe with the gun advantage here over Ballin, looking to push, but that Stinger can be deadly at close range. They go for the boom pack,
Last player
and they
standing.
get picked out maybe with the
Enemy
intel.
remaining.
And now it's a
seconds
1v1.
left.
God tried to come in clutch for their team, but regardless, there's not enough time to plant the spike. This is going to be settled by an limb. That's it, done and dusted. All God has to do is stay alive. They're running for lands, and there you have it. Oh, they ended out on some hide and seek, and now UTA will get their 5th round win.
Breaking the ankles of Ballin. I like that one. Just walking past at that last 5 seconds where Ballin tries to get the plant down and IGOT pushes to go for a swing. Here's the one step of Ballin come off of the bomb and then just sprints to U-Haul. Lovely.
Again, good heads up play by IGOT. I mean, IGOT has been, you know, been doing the thing here on Split. I mean, they're not top fragging because they're tied with maybe, but you know, still they're getting plenty of eliminations. They're coming in clutch. That was a massive clutch dub for them. And you know, again, they're really being fortunate for their team here on blind. And now Rad getting 2 limbs on the push now, and they're not done. They're still gonna chase.
That was everything, right? That was using the contingency to push up, then using the undercut to get the vulnerable, and then having the double tap to refuse to get refragged, and then the double tap again because the Bucky, all those pellets count as 1 instance of damage, I believe, and just turns around and the Bucky, you know, pump action isn't able to trade back. However, what is able to be traded back is members of UTA. Howard finds 2 more, and it's even numbers as everybody knows where everybody wants to go, and that's B side.
1 enemy remaining.
Oh!
Ooh, look at me playing duck hunt. Oh, they're getting 2 limbs as they hop out of hookah. Oh, that really was some duck hunt right there for maybe.
Wow.
Again, they were clicking. You know, they're getting high scores for sure. Fantastic shots, placement there. Maybe now the top frag for UTA.
6-1. I mean, we've been having a lot of fun casting here and, you know, having our conversations, but I've kind of neglected the scoreline and how UTA has just been dominating here. We've seen them win round after round, but I didn't realize just how dire it was looking for Howard.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to ask you, you know, Bind, at least in your opinion, or I want your thoughts. Do you think Bind is more offensive or defensive sided?
Oh, definitely defender sided map. The fact that there's no mid lane means that the attackers have a lot more difficulty forcing their way from side to side. But as we say that, kill contract is up.
We just need to have that. We need just to have that on soundboard for every time the kill contract goes up. Like that'd be pretty awesome. And Crad again just popping off so far. And again, it was that extra shield there that provided Crad again saving them. That's twice, at least that I have seen, where that extra fortification, that extra shield on Crad onto ISO has literally saved their lives.
Yeah, the double tap shield is really nice. And Crad, although not fragging as hot as they were last game, is finding some of the more important ones, and more importantly, always finding space, right? Crad is going for first blood or nothing, and is finding a lot for it some rounds. It's just, I think that maybe overcommitting sometimes is costing them their life. But at what point do you start pulling hairs there, right? Like, just because Crad isn't playing perfectly, their team is still 7-1, and it's probably off of the backs of a lot of the pressure that Crad has created.
And you know, this is actually a Crad ultimate called Fudge It We Ball. So that's what they're doing every single round. You know, it's just Crad, you know, using the Crad ult, and unfortunately it did not work for them there. As Ballin will be able to get not only Crad but also the Sky as well from UTA.
Lines them up. Yikes. That's a tough one. You hate to see that one. That's one of those where you spend like 5 seconds arguing with your teammate about being lined up, and the rest of your team is like, be quiet, we still have to play the round.
You know what's crazy is that we'll see like these early frags come from Howard University in previous rounds, and you think they have the advantage, and then somehow, and it happens so quickly that we've actually missed it a couple times where UTA just manages to turn the bottom count around just like this. I mean, now they're able to even up, and they pick up a rifle as well. And that might be all they need. UTA now in a 3v3. Spike still hovering here on B.
Showstopper does come out. Numbers are even. Although, pulling out the gun there, and I got Fines balling before dying themselves. So numbers are even back up once again. And Showstopper is available,
30
though,
seconds left.
for UT Arlington's maybe.
The question is, are they going to use it again? You know, I think they're going to wait for the spike, of course, to get that audio cue. Now they do hear it, and the Showstopper does come out in kind, and they're just waiting now. I think they were trying to catch someone here. Didn't look like it.
What?
Instead, they get caught in the door frame. Kenny Cosmic just steps into frame and gets annihilated. Now it's a 2v1 on the retake, and Viper on the flank there going towards B main, but they're not needed. Maybe is going to shore things up with a 3K here in round 8.
Just playing tunnels. You heard the audio cue from where the Showstopper was. You know they have to be coming from defender spawn. So, like, I understand the inclination to hold a tight angle to kill the person coming in with Showstopper because you have a teammate alive that you want to save. But obviously, if the person hasn't pushed up from defender spawn, they're going to have to let the Showstopper go soon, right? So I think you just play tunnels there. I don't know. Just ring around the rosy and make sure that you don't die.
Yeah, and you know what? You know, the more that this match goes on, or at least this game here on Bind, I'm like wondering if this is also a UTA map. Like, I know that they picked Split, but I'm wondering if Split had been banned, would they have picked Bind, because they're playing it to near perfection.
Yeah, this could just be a better team situation too. They're looking a lot more coordinated on both maps, their pick or not their pick.
Destabilizing.
And again, Crad just doing Crad things. We're jumping A main, and now we're going to the gulag, as it will be Crad to find another elimination. And you can see, thanks to the short feed, that rain will be dealt with as well. And now Crad still trying to hold on. Not going to be taking a teleport, and doesn't need it. Crad is cracked. They get a 2-piece, and they take control of the spike. Let's make it 3. No, 4. Crad needs one more for the ace. The Cypher is right there. Valorant timing at its finest. Will they finally be able to get this peak? They're playing with it here on Hookah, and finally Jaquavius does come in with the flank. They get the elim, and unfortunately, we do not get to see the ISO ace.
That's the Crad cracked round, though. That's everything went in Crad's favor. Getting the contingency to force the rest of the attackers to back off, and then going to the side of the teleporter, using the undercut, which has kind of a visual interruption that makes it difficult to shoot through in some cases, on top of it obviously providing the fragile value. And then the kill contract, which I love the use of the kill contract, by the way, knowing that like the attackers are coming from a certain angle, just sending it, that's the way to do it. I also really like this combo of using the paint shells with the undercut, because it has the paint shells deal double damage, but Ballin sends the paint shells back while maybe's paint shells were popping off, which means that the audio cue didn't come out, and Crad doesn't hear it and dies.
And you know, the more that I'm watching Crad, you know, use the kill contract, you know, I'm wondering, does it give them any type of advantage? Because, I mean, I know it's a 1v1, but Crad I haven't seen Crad lose once they go into the kill contract.
That's a good question, but BMM 12 here loves this judge, whether they're playing Omen or Cypher. They're hugging this judge. Jaquavius is there and gets taken out. Maybe, though, taking out Kai, and the rest of the attackers are on that A site. The flank is dead, and all of the space now belongs to the attackers. Howard University having a fantastic round, as Rain maybe is going to try to clutch it up.
And you know what? It's not coming any more too soon. I mean, they really needed to come through with a round here. I mean, it's not over, but still, this is the best that they have looked in a while. The spike is down on towards the A site, looking to get their second round win. But Rain, again, is just going to be a nuisance for Howard University. They're going to fake the defuse, and they will get dealt with. Sprayed through the box. And finally, Howard University able to get a round win for the first time in what feels like a long time.
Like that trap wire there. It's too chaotic for Rain to be able to be aware that that's there, even if you know that the Cypher is alive, and it just allows the free box spray. So that's a good way to close out the round for Howard University. Yeah, they played a little sloppy going for the setup after the plant, not knowing where Rain was, and lost 2 for it. So it kind of got a little bit scary, but now Howard is looking really strong, has full guns, has 3 very valuable ultimates available, as it looks like Kai's just going to send the ultimate strike.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, you know Krad's going to be there. Honestly, I would have sent it towards TP. If I was going to send out that orbital strike, it would have been right there on the teleporter, right in that corner where Krad likes to go. You know, they tried to send it to Flowers, and Krad, for the first time, actually used the teleporter.
Paint shells are coming out, but Rain holding this corner, sprays down, wants to grab more than just Kai, but Kai is the only one that falls. Maybe in the smoke, holding back as Rain is still trying to make something happen, dancing in and out of the smoke with Flash. Everybody's in the Viper's pit. A lot of trades, though, and just Kenny Cosmic is left alive, but Quavius from Hookah gets a nice little off shot.
Jaquavius got an elimination with the snake bite just now, and like the snake bite went into the Viper's pit, and then someone instantly died. It looked like someone was hit with the actual snake bite. It looked like someone took the pellet to the face and just croaked.
That's always fun when those interactions happen. It looks like, you know, hitting somebody with a flash in CSGO, but it deals like 1 damage.
I've never seen that in Valorant. Like literally, they threw out the snake bite and someone instantly died. And like I had to look at the kill feed. Like, wait, what? Did I see that right? And sure enough, in the kill feed, it was a snake bite a limb. And I don't know. I'm just kind of at a loss.
It's funny. I like that. We're switching sides though. Howard University on defense. Again, behind being a defender-side map, having Cypher play solo B is great, but the audio cues are going to come out, and they don't have enough speed to get back here in time. So even if the Trapwire grabs 1, BMM12 isn't ready to take it down, but nobody took out the Trapwire, and so it's just resetting. BMM12 takes out maybe because nobody wanted to look at the Trapwire, but everybody forgot about the Cypher buffs. Krad, though, in the back, still dying to BMM12. No more space is able to be taken in this site take. Even though they're going to get the plant down, they actually got no space off of it.
Yeah, no, and I gotta tell you, I absolutely love the Cypher buffs. Like, thank you. As someone who started as a Cypher main, like this is honestly what we needed Cypher to be. This is what they always should have been. It's really great to see those tripwires actually doing stuff. Meanwhile, you do see the final elimination going down in the favor of Howard University, and they're gonna be able to come in and get the defuse, and they're gonna start things off right here in the second half.
Yeah, that Cypher Trapwire was just a hero Trapwire, right? It was a good one because it can't be shot from the other side of the wall, but you push through it. Everybody pushed through it, and nobody took it out, right? Maybe he's all the way up, has tried to satchel on, so he's a little bit disoriented and not able to shoot the Trapwire. But I think what happened is that it all happened so quickly that the Trapwire popped because it's now down to like, what, 1.5 seconds for it to actually disarm, or not disarm, but concuss somebody before it resets. And then it resets, so they didn't know how to shoot it because they couldn't see it anymore. Or at least didn't have like the very clear visual indicator of it anymore. And then it hit another person. In any case, it was a good play to have the Trapwire where it was, but also better to follow up on it.
Well, here we are now into round number 14. And it will be Howard University with the advantage here. Again, they were able to buy up an anti-eco round. And remember, you know, in the last anti-eco that we had in, you know, the first half, like Howard University, they tried to buy up. They tried to match UTA, and, you know, it came back to bite them. This time, you can see UTA, all right, they're not going to do that. They're full saving here, and they still managed to find the first limb. They're in lamps thanks to IGOT.
Now, Krad back here sends the undercut, but it doesn't hit the person that they want it to hit. And Kai's going to take them out, but Rain finds Ballin off screen. Jaquavius jumps through the snake bite for some reason. Neviage takes out Jaquavius there. And BMM12 on maybe Kai on Rain, and the last alive is IGOD, sitting on B site, but no bomb in hand. Maybe just going to look for a couple of frags here.
Yeah, maybe. There's really not much doing, but again, this was the save round coming from UTA, and they're going to be able to buy up going into next. So again, they could look for an exit frag, and right now they managed to find 2. So again, that's not too bad, but let's see what they're going to be able to make of it. IGOD has a bulldog, but they're not checking their corner, and BMM12 comes away with the final limb, and they are able to secure the 4th round win here for Howard University, but they still have a ways to go.
Yeah, you got to check every angle there. But like you said, save round, so not too worse for the wear. Although there's not full buys available for UT Arlington. They do have most buys up, at least enough to have better economy than Howard University, only in the armory for the current round, though.
Yeah, and you also got to keep in mind, you know, like just because they're not buying up doesn't mean they're not buying. They're probably investing a lot in utility, especially on the characters you think that need the most. Like maybe I'm sure they're getting paint shells. I'm sure they're getting the boom bots and the jump packs and everything else. So again, you know, just because the buy is not there in the weaponry doesn't mean it's not there elsewhere. And Crad now going to be entering, and they have the double tap, and it's going to work to their benefit. They're going to get another one. And they are still shielded with that double tap. As the spike will now go down on the A site, and the retake is now underway from Howard University.
I know that at least one is pushing pipes here with Trailblazer coming out. Grabs one, grabs the double tap refresh. Kenny Cosmic's still going to try to peek pipes here, but the Boombot should catch them out, at least information-wise. Maybe swings it off of that information. Finds Kenny Cosmic, and Jaquavius takes out BMM12. By the way, what I said before, I forgot that ISO has a nice little aim trainer built-in minigame in their kit. I think that's absolutely the insta-lock now. I hope people start insta-locking ISO.
You know what's really infuriating about ISO is you know how mad I would be if I perfectly headshot ISO and then nope,
Yep.
you know, you got double tap shield. But now, once again, it's time for the Kevin with the K in the Atsuka show, as we have yet another timeout as we are rearing towards the late game now. You know, Kevin with a K, I gotta ask you, we've already talked about your favorite skins in Valorant. Now I want to talk about your favorite maps. What's your favorite map? Let's hear it.
Oh, that's a good question. I know that you were talking about that you loved Haven and Lotus, and I was a Sova player for a long time before they nerfed every ability multiple times. So I had a lot of fun on Ascent. I had a lot of fun on Haven, but now, I mean, Lotus is just aesthetically an awesome map, but also it being 3 sites, it's super fun. It's super dynamic. I really, really like Lotus. I like Pearl for a lot of similar reasons, but I think that it's a little bit clunky right now. I also really liked Icebox, so I know that's a hot take, but hopefully they rework it for the better and they don't change too much about A site. I really liked A site. But yeah, all in all, I think Lotus is probably my favorite if I had to pick one, with maybe Bind being a close secondary.
It's funny because Icebox is actually my #1 favorite, and it's just currently not in the rotation. So you know, I'm going with like my 3-sided maps. I like Haven, I like Lotus, but yeah, Icebox definitely my #1 most favorite map, and I just cannot wait until they bring it back. And I'm sure the reworks are gonna be good. I mean, let's face it, whenever they do have a rework of a map, it hardly ever misses. I mean, I hate Fracture 100%, but the rework was actually pretty good.
Don't disagree with you there. This round, though, also looking good if you're UT Arlington. Getting the plant down, getting all the space that they want, and having the numbers up. Obviously, that's what you want to have whenever you got good eco in your pockets, but see if they can continue to hold it as they hold it at the backside. Going for the committal gunfight there was questionable, but still not dying is good. Kai, though, finding 2, and now it's 3 versus 3 on the retake. That's doable.
Oh yeah, very winnable here. I mean, time continuing to take away. PTA are down to 1 player. It's Crad. Look at this position.
Crad.
No way. Oh my! If they would have pulled that off, that would have been the lurkiest turkey I have ever seen. If that had actually worked, my goodness. It is still going to go the way of Howard University, and that was definitely a must-win round.
Okay, I only have like
I'd love to give a round of applause to Kai on that retake. Knowing that Rain is shoulder peeking elbow, and then sends the orbital strike and elbow so that Rain has to full peek into multiple people and can't hold that corner anymore. Yeah, there was a small little sliver that Rain maybe could have held, but it's hard to know that in the moment. They assume that they're getting perfect orbital strike. But anyways, Kai had the perfect decision. That was able to give them Rain, giving them numbers advantage to find the second one. And if they didn't have that, one kill, Crad would have clutched out the round. So fantastic stuff. Kai with the huge orbital strike to change the play of the game.
Well, here we go. Speaking of ultimates, how about the kill contract? But for the first time, we actually saw ISO lose. Crad lost a 1v1. I think that's the first time I've seen them lose in their ultimate.
Yeah, that's wild. What's also wild is in a 1v1 situation, maybe has picked up the operator. That is, I mean, having this angle where you can back up and pick up your other gun whenever you want is good, but I think switching guns so that you can play more dynamically is better. Barrel theft, though, gives away the info.
Yeah, but keep in mind they still have the boom pack out, which is what I thought they were going to do with the operator, again, having that boom pack. I thought they were going to use it to like quick dash and, you know, get a pop shot off, but now the boom packs are out of play. Both players have completely lost utility, and the advantage right now is, I mean, there really is none. Both players know exactly where each other are. So now it's going to be about the quick draw, and maybe a little bit quicker on the sticks as they are able to find the final LM and put UTA on match point.
So interestingly, BMM knew where maybe was because of obviously using the blast packs and then the audio information of picking up and dropping guns and then walking at the end. But I don't think maybe actually knew where BMM 12 was. They were looking backside as though BMM may be timing them while they were rotating through U-Haul. But then they just flicked over and killed BMM anyways because maybe is a god like that.
Honestly, I thought there was some audio cue somehow. It seemed like maybe knew where they were. They kept peeking shower, like they were looking right there. Every single time they kept peeking shower, and I thought maybe they might have saw the hat fling out or, you know, some type of intel. I don't know. But again, it just seemed like maybe it was instinct. But again, it definitely seemed like maybe knew.
Well, they had loose information because of the teleport, but they didn't know if BMM 12 had pushed on the side. But all that being said, it's so much action happening right here. Ballin grabs the first kill with the showstopper, two traded back from iGod, and then another one going down in iGod means that there's 3v3 in this round. So quick the action has happened.
Man, take a look at this. Jacoby is now able to find Naviage on the flank in defender spawn. And now Jaquavius throws down a Viper's Pit on defender spawn. Meanwhile, the spike is ticking away here, and only one player remains. This could be the end of Howard University here today. UTA could be taking a 2-0 sweep. No, not like this. Not
Rain,
with the fan.
Rain.
Don't do it to him.
Oh
No.
my God. Rain did it to him like that to close it out. The match goes to UT Arlington 2-0 in a well-deserved victory. It wasn't really close, if I'm going to be honest.
Oh, the fan, because you get it. They got swept away. You know, not. I mean, a fan can sweep in a sort of way, right? So again, it's just the fan. I think it's worse because it was the fan. Like I've been meleeed for the final on them many times, but it was by practical weapons. You know, by a knife. You know, sometimes it was by like a big sickle. But whenever you get hit with a fan or a candy cane, I don't know, it hits different.
Especially to close out the game and the match, it's especially offensive, right? If you got hit in the back with like a baseball to that, right? That's my preferred melee weapon of choice in this game. Then it's kind of funny. There's some comedy to it, but the fan just is disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. And the way they did it too.
I know.
just whoosh away with you. Be gone.
How did that deal any damage?
Exactly. But regardless, that's going to be the end of the series. UTA come out with a 2-0 sweep over Howard University, and they really just played phenomenally. And what's crazy is that there were so many times where UTA were just looking really shaky. You know, they weren't doing so hot in the first half when we were on split, and then their defense just cooked, like just popped off. And then all of a sudden we go over to bind, and then they just didn't stop. Like they were on an absolute tear from the second half of split, and they carried it into the first half of bind. And then we started to see a resurgence from Howard when they got a chance, to switch sides, play defense on bind. But by then, I think the damage had already been done, and the deficit was just too great.
Interesting thing to note, from the first map to the second map, from split to bind, UT Arlington only changed one character, and in that one character only changed one of their players playing that character. They only had literally one character swap, and that was the Brimstone. I got switched from, I think, Astra to Brimstone. Howard University switched up very few of their characters, but they swapped up who was playing the characters, which I thought was very interesting. Like Kenny Cosmic was playing Ray's first round, Ballin was playing Sky first round, and then they swapped for the next round. So I'm not sure if they were just playing around with different roles, if that's like a natural thing that they do, if it's more of a map preference that they play those roles on, or what happened there, and if that contributed at all to how kind of disoriented they looked coming into that second map. Because UT Arlington looked like they just came off of the first map playing the same characters. Comfort. So I'm not sure how that played into it at all. I'm not sure that we'll ever know. But hopefully we'll get some questions answered, as I believe we're going to be looking to have an interview with maybe or one of the players from UT Arlington right after a short break.
Hello and welcome everyone to another fantastic week here at EGF Season 5. I believe we're in week 6, 7, or Adam, they all kind of run together, don't they?
Yeah, at a certain point, I think it's week 6. Yeah, I mean, I have to count the weeks that I have been here versus the weeks I haven't been here, but it all works out at the end of the day. Honestly, happy to be back here with you. Of course, we've got ourselves a really fun matchup here today: University of Hawaii versus Montana State University. Sort of two sides of the coin here. Hawaii, a team that was once great. It was top 10 in the CBH power rankings at one point. And now they've sort of gone on a little bit of a downturn. On the opposite side, Montana State, last time I was here, they got their first win of the season, and they're looking to keep that momentum going.
The last time you were here, Montana State got their first win of the season, and that's pretty much the most that we know about Montana State. One of their games happened off stream, and then our records, despite me having been here last week, weren't exactly well kept for them. So we only know that they are up 1, down 2, as opposed to their opponents in Hawaii, who's still at a fairly mid-table, up 3, down 2, so 3 wins, 2 losses if you prefer. And otherwise, yeah, I think that kind of ambiguity gives us a big opportunity to say, hey, this could be a very competitive, very close match if those previous games did, in fact, go into Montana State's favor. But now, as we see here, some familiar names, at least for myself, Adam, I feel like I've been casting a lot of Montana here over the last couple of weeks. Yursa, Wi-Fi, Homerid, Halt, and One Q-Tips, all very familiar names.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the Hawaii roster, not necessarily missing, but from previous iterations there, the major player that was playing for them previously in early 2022, it was, oh my goodness, getting years mixed up, was Comey, who did go on to Winthrop, ended up coming second in CVAL. So UH has a very good history of creating strong players. But of course, looking at their roster now, Levi Broom, Kaze, Wave to Earth, and Yuri. So interested to see how this matchup works out as well, because I think that Hawaii is always an interesting program. Realistically, under any circumstance, they should not have good esports teams. They are in the middle of the Pacific. They are so far away from every other server, and yet somehow they've been able to scrape together some very competitive rosters in the past. This one, no different, of course, having some decent success thus far this season. So I'm curious to see how they play it out.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure. I'm going to be a little bit honest and vulnerable with you here, Adam. I'm not sure if it's the same situation for their Valorant rosters, but back when I was casting their Overwatch teams a season or two ago, they had just numbers to their advantage. It felt like they were using up every single roster slot that they could here within EGF. I believe we saw 12 players kind of cycled in and out throughout the seasons, which back when, well, I can't remember if we were in Overwatch 2 at that point or not, but either way, that's a couple of teams at least to kind of keep in the rotations, allowing you to kind of scrim within one another, even if all those members weren't perhaps at the same skill level, at the same temperature as one another. We are it still gives a lot of opportunity there for them to really shine. However, focusing on what we're going to be looking at as far as maps go, we do have a selection of 3, as it always is here, Adam. Ascent, Bind, looking at Lotus to close things out if necessary.
Yeah, honestly, it's the Collegiate Classic. It's some of the older maps, no Sunset, no Breeze. Honestly, like 5 out of the 7 maps that are in the pool at this point are sort of the Collegiate Classic at this point. Lotus has started to become really popular among teams as well, so I can't really say that's not a classic at this point, but nonetheless, it's sort of the expected result there. Ascent is a map, though, that a lot of teams have been moving away from recently. I look back to last weekend at Red Bull Campus Clutch US Finals. A lot of teams didn't want to play Ascent because it's so puggy. It can be sort of a coin flip at that. And for UH to pick that, they're just basically throwing down their gauntlet saying, hey, we trust ourselves on this map. We're confident on this map. We're going to take it to them. Interesting to note, though, MSU didn't pick Sunset as their map pick here. They picked Bind instead. They were actually banning out Sunset as that final map, maybe potentially knowing that Hawaii is also very confident on that map. So it's something to keep an eye on as the season progresses to see where sort of the map pick bans go.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, you mentioned Sunset and you're talking about the collegiate classic or the standard map choice that we kind of see come through from these teams. I'm gonna have the Sir Waltham standard because I've mentioned it almost every week. It feels like I have Sunset at some point throughout the night in my pocket to cast. Not quite the case today, as we are a little bit lighter on the games. We did have a forfeit and then I believe some scheduling issues or some sort of prevention from having those last two games that should have been on stream. But either way, the 1 week I think we don't get Sunset, I can take a breather off, and overall gives us time to experience those new maps, get those I want to say new experiences. For me, they're new experiences this season.
Yeah, I think something to note as well. Believe ISO is now enabled. Not 100% sure on that one. ISO is actually enabled, as I've heard.
Ooh.
Very middling sort of opinions on ISO thus far. A lot of people like him because of the aim labs portion of it. A lot of people not the biggest fan. So I'm curious to see if we're gonna get ISO here on the table. But nonetheless, there's sort of a set Ascent comp that we've seen for so long involving Omen, involving KO Sova. You've got your Killjoy as your Sentinel and your Jet as your duelist. But now that double controller meta has sort of taken over at that point, we see Homrid altering, going over towards the Viper instead. We see Ursa picking up a Raze as opposed to a Jet, which is a little bit interesting. And in fact, there's just going to be no Sentinel on this side of Montana State, which is very interesting considering they've got double duelist, double controller. Not really going to have as much sort of prevention from getting onto site, but that post plant going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to me Yuri rather in a very good spot here, being the potentially still hovering. It hasn't locked in yet, but potentially the only Killjoy on site. I mean, you get into some of these sites on Ascent, and the Killjoy can just make it so difficult to kind of get into that entry, as you're saying. Very difficult to kind of access that site in the initial, that it kind of works in funneling your opponents into a specific direction. That's all in theory. Sometimes the Killjoys don't necessarily perform up to that degree, but University of Hawaii, I got some pretty good confidence in them.
Yeah, I think the Rainbow Warrior is going to be feeling pretty confident going into this one because this is the Ascent comp that you've played for 2-3 years at this point. I mean, the newest agent on there, I think, is KO, which is kind of wild to think about. Whereas on the opposite side, you've got a little bit more variance in terms of that comp. You have that X factor that might come into play, and whether Montana State University are able to take advantage of that and carry themselves towards a victory with that, or if Hawaii are able to shut it down, that's yet to be determined here as we get on to the server here. Of course, Hawaii starting off on the attack. Normally, Ascent is seen as a little bit more of a defensive side of the map because of the quicker rotations, sort of a 7-5 split at that. That's the expected result. If we see that come through from Montana State, we'll have to see what Hawaii can do on the opposite side, given that this is their map pick.
Absolutely, and we're looking right now quick at what the purchases might be. Couple classics and armor, couple ghosts. No sheriff, no big boomer bust weaponry coming out there. Instead, it's going to be the bomb buddy from the Rays. Montana State just trying to get a little bit of information, see where the attackers might be starting off, and it does do them some good. They're slowly starting to whittle away at what might be the patience of this attacking team for Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, very heavy stack towards this A site. Not really a whole lot of lurking going on. In fact, it's a lurk on the opposite side from the Reyna. Because of how deep this turret has been placed by the Killjoy, she's just going to get a lot of free real estate until the lurkers up catwalk start to come to fruition. Levi gonna strike first blood there as Q-tips. A little bit overzealous there, peeking a little bit early, not really having any supporting cast.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. A little overzealous. Granted, the rest of the team wasn't necessarily making any firm contact. He had him pretty well pinned down. Homrid forced out of an uncomfortable position with the swarm grenade. Trying to make some connections onto the Jet, but the right click just aren't going to connect. Case trying to walk around, play around this generator, dashing in and out. Has to hold high and low, although the
One
Viper
enemy
is going to make it
remaining.
easy by being the only one half low. Ursa trying to close in on the case, does so successfully, picks up the weapon, and defenders walk away clean.
Yeah, and this is why we talk about this being a defender-sided map. Despite the early pick going down onto Q-tips, the rest of them sort of funnel in to A site there, and there's already 4 members rotating over. It's a very quick rotation for these players, thus leading to the victory in the pistol round for Montana State. But now, a bunch of Spectres and a Judge here. With the Judge nerfs taken into account, Irsa might have to be a little bit more careful, might not do as much damage as they expect, and specifically not have as many bullets in the frag as they were expecting, but nonetheless, still going to just be able to hold these close corners. Doesn't seem like Hawaii's interested at all at this A site this time around, but the 3 stack towards B might be a little bit something more to deal with here.
And right now, Hawaii are just playing this calm and collected. They know that they don't have that weaponry advantage, so they really want to try to, you would think they really want to try to get in there as one big unit, try to perhaps overwhelm by brute force and speed if that's an option. But so far it looks like Montana State set up at a safe enough distance to not just get absolutely bum rushed off guard. They might get 1 or 2, but that all remains to be seen. Levi is kind of playing around that smoke, waiting for it to drop, trying to peek for that Reyna, but that Reyna holding just gently enough. Kate slowly moving their way up towards the market. Q-tips going to manage to take down the Killjoy. Trades going back and forth. It's looking very checkerboard right here, Adam, and that's actually not too bad for the attacking Hawaii, who were down in that firepower.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of those guns are now sort of stuck on site. Gates has a great angle here. Double peeking is the side of MSU. That angle that was so good sort of falls to the wayside here. All down to Levi here, but combined health there on this side of MSU, right around even with what Levi's got in tow as well. Nice little angle, will be able to find one, but Irsa with 14 HP will be able to shut it down. It's a close round though. Hawaii making sure that Montana State pay for their aggression, I want to say.
I mean, I think you're fairly correct on that. I mean, Montana, that's a very unfortunate loss. Not loss, but the loss of economy, if you will. Now you're going to have to look to, well, do we save? Do we look to buy up, force a little bit? And we're seeing a couple of sheriffs go up onto the board and trying to see how that might be able to start affecting these rounds, especially as we start looking towards that 4th, 5th round towards those rifles, which are now firmly in the hands of Hawaii.
And I mean, if you look at the kill feed as well, or at least the scoreboard here, Levi Kaze have been the main ones to sort of carry the torch thus far. Want to see them continue to do so here. That's what you want. You want your KO to be getting a lot of value on the attack. You want your Jet to be fragging out for you as well. And already very quickly pushing forward, forces Halt onto this little off angle, but it's a very quick push forward. They know they've got the economic advantage at this point.
And a Halt with a nice shot into the build of Yuri, going to be starting things off well, but not necessarily carrying on, as Montana State now still down 2 members. The response surely has to be there, but they know they have a little bit of time to get in position. But the same token, it gives Hawaii an opportunity to get themselves nice and nestled. We see that Omen playing in boat. Sobadrone going out to see if anybody's at defenders spawn. Levi does manage to connect onto the Rays, not going to find too much in there. Irsa, unfortunately, now it's going to be a lob coming in from Wi-Fi. Not able to find too much, not able to connect with the Sheriff. Either way to Earth. Going to be throwing out that recon dart, but it's not going to matter. Levi already picking up the kill.
Hawaii showing how to convert on a boat, buy round there at least, keeping 4 of their rifles into the next round, of course. Just going to be Yuri sort of begging for funds there. He should have enough to sort of buy up there, unless they opt to just go with a share. Oh, no, someone's going to buy up. It's going to be wave to Earth, in fact. So Levi doing a great job of just sort of finding a lot of these frags to the side of Hawaii, carrying that momentum over. I mean, it's a more even keel on the side of Montana State thus far, but Hawaii, they've got those X factors that you really need. And knowing how confident they are with this comp, because of how many times you've played this comp, I think everyone has played this specific Ascent comp at one point or another. You can see they're just going to continue pushing forward. They've got those strats down. They're not going to let Montana State's oddball comp really catch them off guard.
As we've kind of been experiencing throughout this, these site pitches, it's the immediate element smoke as soon as it's available. Having to play a little far, backfiring through the smokes, and but a nice wild swing coming in from McKay's, managing to connect right into the body of Halt. Case trying to fire through the boxes onto the Reyna, manages to look in the wrong direction, does eventually get the kill, though it's all up to this one jet. Be very careful though. You're going to be known to be coming from market with that door. Breaking manages to get the 1, does K's, and now has to just make this brief connection with Ursa. 1 headshot at a little bit more of a closer range should do it. That 140 Phantom would be fatal if Ursa is able to return
I got the spike.
in time. Does manage to connect. That's 4K in the favor of the Jet player. Looking to get the spike down as well, just to add themselves.
Yeah, 4Ks there, you can say, but nonetheless, great round coming through from Hawaii. This is what you want from your Jet, getting in there, becoming disruptive, and Q-Tips had a nice little angle potentially to swing around. It's sort of a 50-50 swing at that, but nonetheless, K's still able to read that out, make sure it sticks, and Hawaii, they're starting off real hot on this after the first pistol round and bonus, of course. They're looking really good, and I mean, a lot of that goes back to the two players we were talking about, Kaze and Levi, really carrying the weight of that. Now you look at the ultimates. Null Command is online. You've got the Jet knives as well if you really get into a sticky situation. But this time around, they're just going towards A. No one's home here, and this is going to be a free site for the taking.
It's going to be a free site. It looks like Montana State's slowly taking their time. They're not all playing grouped up, which is a little bit peculiar given once again they're on those weaker buys. It's going to be the abilities trying to come out, and Montana State will eventually get regrouped, all except for that KO who's lurking a little bit closer to tree than anyone else. Omen still hasn't thrown out those smokes. Might have the idea that there's a little bit more time to operate with them. Fighter wall goes up and Wager manages to get through. Q-Tips manages to connect onto one, but Yuri there good with the trade. Now it is a 2-on-4 spots. The Omen and the KO both playing in a very kind of off sightlines from each other. Nice suppression coming from Wi-Fi, but that's going to do very little when there's one bot against 4 still remaining.
Yeah, Wi-Fi's in a little bit of a rough situation, just throwing out those flashes, trying to maybe get one of these rifles out, but K's gonna hold the line from deep there. Another 2 kills for the Jet there, but nonetheless, incredible stuff coming through as they just continue to build up this economy, and that's something that we've got to keep our eyes on, despite the fact that now MSU has a full buy coming through, and even the glass cannon operator coming through from Q-Tips. It's 6,300 credits in the inventory of K's there. Should be maxing out shortly. You know, you've got 4,700 on Broom. You've still got a lot of members with those heavy buys coming down. And the ultimates are just going to keep rotating. Yes, you used your null command, but now that lockdown is 1 point away, you've got that Sova ultimate online, the Hunter's Fury. So we'll have to keep an eye on how those ultimates are used, when they are used. If they keep rotating them out using 1 or 2 per round, they're going to be in good shape.
Once again, that's that bomb buddy going out, just getting a little bit of information for Ursa and the rest of the defending team, trying to gather where the attackers might be. But the attackers right now, currently, fairly spread out. We see them ferrying Spike all the way through that attacker as the spawn, deciding that, no, perhaps A is not the site we want to lean into. However, they have to be very careful. That forward Reyna hold from Q-Tips might catch one of them off guard, and that could be exactly what's needed. Oh, but Q-Tips has to be very careful. Does manage to get the shot, but is not able to extract in time. That Reyna doesn't have too much speed advantage. Did not manage to grab that. Reyna coming through. Now a lot of utility coming in from Wi-Fi, managing to detect 3 on site. Kate's now kind of stuck in the middle, has to hang out with behind the snake bite. As those market doors to drop. Wanted to do the reveal there, but Kate's immediately brought down. MSU in a very decent spot to go in for the retake. At least that was the case. But Hammer and Ursa both dropping now. Halt towards market with Wi-Fi, and the 2 remaining members, or excuse me, 2 of the remaining members for Hawaii still on site, and Sova slowly creeping around the market.
Yeah, Levi just so good with that. Broom cleans up the rest of the round as well. You know, Kaze did fall on a little bit of an aggressive angle, but honestly, I really like Wave to Earth sort of lurking up behind enemy lines, able to find that for themselves. Levi as well getting on the score sheet, as well as Broom. So, you know, everyone from Hawaii is sort of showing up here, and that's what the score sheet's showing at this point. You see, it's head and shoulders, Kaze and Levi above the rest of them. I believe those 2 combined have more kills than all of the rest of MSU combined. Let's do some math. 9, 12, 15, 18. Yep. So Kaze and Levi are basically 2v5ing at this point. The rest of them are just along for the wave ride, I guess you could say it is.
Yeah, we'll workshop that, but immediately Ursa trying to go out, catch Wave to Earth, was hit by that paranoia, but not being successful. Wave is going to be the one taken down. And Kaze with immediate smack on 1 Q-Tip. A flawless round, only the KO looking to have taken any damage during that. University of Hawaii, they were not going to let Montana State get comfortable at all.
Yeah, they're riding the good vibes at this point. 5 rounds in a row for themselves. Those bank accounts are very full at this point. Everyone is maxed or just about to max at that. Q-Tips going back to the operator is very bold as well, though. We talked about how they weren't able to get that dismiss earlier that could have potentially saved them, kept the floodgates from sort of bursting open, but nonetheless, they're going to go back to it here. It's still aggressive coming through from the Reyna, but that's a lot of the reason why you end up favoring the Jett on this map, because the operator is quite strong in some of these long corridors down mid, from catwalk over to tiles, down B main. All of these sort of angles are great for the Reyna, with the op at least, if she has that sort of get out of jail free card, if she can dismiss right away.
Not going to be as much a factor, as there's not much attacker space being purchased towards that mid area. Going to be the Killjoy throwing in the lockdown, trying to really flush out this zone. But so far, that Omen just creating that sense of presence, still making it very difficult for Hawaii to push in. Eventually, they will start to breach, especially as that Sova Owl drone comes in. Halt gets hit by the Owl drone, and immediately the follow-up with the Hunter Fury comes in, connects onto, I believe that might have been two. Information being gathered there. Montana State has an opportunity here. They are still numbers up. Levi just going to be holding at this smoke. Nice blind coming out from the KO, but nobody checked Levi. Coming in for maybe a third if that does not get right. Potential for all coming in. And Levi getting the ace. What a spectacular hold. And oh man, Montana State going to be kicking themselves for not checking that door frame.
Yeah, Homer had got the wool pulled over their eyes there, unfortunately. Just no chance at anything there. Levi just shuts them all down, and that's what you really need to find in some of these crucial rounds. This is how you can tell Hawaii are just full force here. Look at this. It's 16 kills, 13 kills there. They've got more than a kill around a piece on their side. This has just been the Levi and K show thus far. And MSU, I'm curious as to why there hasn't been a timeout yet. I think this would have been a decent time to take one, to sort of cool the Jets a little bit here and potentially ice out the side of Hawaii a little bit more. Granted, I don't think there's much ice in Hawaii there, especially at this entry. 5 stacks onto the A site once again. They take down that one defender. No one's home once again to try and hold the gates.
Admittedly, don't see much logic in the Viper for Montana State. Trying to push through that wall. They used to set up some of their own pressure, but either way, it's going to have to be the retake coming in from Montana State. And the University of Hawaii don't seem bothered by this at all. Levi knows exactly where Yursa is. Yursa was trying to get some nice shots with the Sheriff, not able to connect onto anything though. Really just playing with fire at that rate, taking those repeats. It's going to be Yursa eventually managing to find Levi take them down. Wager on this wraparound, we're seeing the Sova do it again and again. Is going to come through successfully for Hawaii. Picking up the Sheriff for the troubles.
What do you say, bro?
Yeah, had a little bit of a case of the Whiffingtons there. Sometimes the hardest members to hit are those who are not looking at you, and there is the timeout that we were looking for. Potentially just saving it for their buy round, but honestly, on the side of MSU, they've been stumped the last 7 rounds. They've gotten nothing off the ground. There's been a couple of flawlesses. A lot of rounds where only 1 or 2 members are falling from the side of University of Hawaii. It doesn't look close at this point. That starts to worry me, but now that you've got this Viper's Pit online, you've got the Reyna Ultimate still locked and loaded for a rainy day, got to try and find some strategy here. Maybe set up your Viper to just sort of shut down one of those sites, siphon them across to the other side of the map here. And of course, Ascent being a 4-lane map here, you have agency to sort of leave one open, cover the other 2, force them to go up mid in a lot of ways. And I think that's really what Montana State want to try and talk about in this timeout, exactly how they want to use this Viper to shut off one of those entrances.
And you bring up an interesting point here. I don't feel like University of Hawaii, with the exception of the Solo, who's been, kind of on that lurk, on that late wraparound flank, we haven't seen them feel the need to really threaten themselves by going into mid. We're just seeing like pretty committed pushes from the entire team going directly onto one of the sites and just taking it, a fair degree of success. I'd say about 7 out of the 9 times we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that your KO and your Jet have 30 kills after 9 rounds sort of just tells the story at this point. I will keep lauding them for their efforts thus far. It has been absolutely monumental. Wave to Earth has sort of picked it up as well to sort of contribute in to that total. 38 kills across 3 members. Not bad after, we're still in the single digits of rounds, but Fury gonna find Yursa across the map here. Just finds 2 of them right away. Wi-Fi, blinded up all of them, but K's still able to answer the beck and call, and despite this Viper finding another one, not quite gonna find the efficiency that they need. Actually, Halt gonna be able to shut one down once again, so it's the 2 controllers versus the world. This Viper's Pit doesn't cover off sight though, and now they know full well where Homer it is. Yuri even gonna plant for Hell here. This is gonna be so challenging to retake when you don't really have any sort of initiation tools. You don't have your Omen blind either, so it's gonna be quite the difficult task. Wave to Earth gonna find another one, and now Homered in a 1vx situation. To lurk up here, catches a reload at the very least. Will continue to hide in that smoke. Really could use this Viper Spit, just dipping in and out. Oh,
A good attempt at use, but it immediately drops and time continues to falter. Hummer gonna have their location revealed, casually walking onto site. Not sure if I necessarily really like this. And immediately taken it down. And I wanted to make a point. As long as Wave to Earth is still on the map, you cannot feel comfortable unless you're checking every single angle. They will find a way behind you, and it may be sooner rather than later they're eventually going to get those kills, it feels.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about how a lot of these rounds have been sort of very dominating wins for the side of UH. At the very least, this time around, they get 3 members. Homrid sort of coming through with some heroics. But nonetheless, look at the buys that are coming down. They're sort of broken buys at this point. Bulldogs, Spectres, they're just trying to piece anything together that they can. It's just looking real rough for the future of what they have to do when they're on the attack themselves, because it's 8-2 half already. With this sort of light buy, the most you're looking at here for the side of Montana could be that 3rd round, especially when Yuri is just lurking like a demon. Irsa has no health to peek this again. Yuri gonna find another one. And this brings us 1 HP.
Yuri actually gets blown up by the paint shell there. Not gonna matter though, eventually Ursa does fall into all the way up to Montana State. Trying to find this one remaining member, Homrid. I believe finds themselves. Homrid using that snake bite to try to buy themselves a little bit of space, but it's going to be revealing their location. The White Wing comes through. And eventually Levi coming to close out those kills. And I wanted to point out that discipline coming in from Yuri to see the paranoia go out, know that the defenders were going to be looking towards that mid zone, and immediately swings them as they kind of have that tempo against their opponents. Really well executed.
Yeah, just very good patience coming through. That's what's important in these rounds, especially on those sort of lighter buys. You look at the economy on the opposite side and you're like, they're not quite full buying. They're going to go for some sort of cheese play there. You're just saying, hey, I created the cheese. You can't get me with that one. But now, this is MSU's last chance on the defense here to try and get another round back in their favor, potentially look to invoke the curse at that. But nonetheless, Hawaii, it just feels as if it's sort of wraps at this point. This map has been all in Hawaii's favor since that pistol plus bonus.
Yeah, especially considering the defender-sidedness of this map. And, looking at where Montana has to be the next half, I agree, not necessarily the most favorable position. Yursa, very uncomfortable position, manages to get one, can't quite connect with any more than that. Storms in there, trying to buy a little bit of space, or trying to pressure them out, rather. Alt trying to go in for a bit of information, it seems, not able to acquire too much, but has to be very careful, might be rotating off into their own doom here. Door does, I believe, get closed and tries to connect through Armor with a nice connection onto Levi. That puts Montana in the rare state of being up a few members. Wave to Earth, however, creeping around, manages to catch Hammer once again. I gotta start keeping more regular eyes on Wave to Earth. Hayes getting taken down. Next is Q-Tips. Does land that connection with the Vandal. Smoke goes out from the Omen right onto the Diffuse. And the Reyna not necessarily going to be trying to provide too much cover. Trying to rotate towards that hell. Does get cleaned up by Wave to Earth, who picks up 2 of what I assume was supposed to be just a time buy off that spike.
Switching sides.
Yeah, I mean, just able to find a tag onto both members, I think, on the first one. Picks and chooses their targets after that, and Wave to Earth says, hey, you know what? Levi and Case, they get the spotlight so much. It's my time to shine. Sova is the agent for Ascent here, and, fulfilling that in kind. Now, MSU, you look down the barrel of a 10-2 deficit here. Going to be a little bit of a challenge here, but I want to see what they can cook up on the attack here. I'm really looking towards this Raze Reyna to push yourself in onto site. That's sort of why I was confused about their double duelist approach when you started on the defense here. You're guaranteed to have 12 rounds there. The fact that you don't have a Killjoy or something, at least slow the pressure down, stem the bleeding just a little bit, was a little bit of an odd choice in my opinion, but nonetheless, we'll have to see what they can cook up on the attack.
Yeah, as I kind of alluded to early on, as the Killjoy really going to be putting a lot of pressure on that B site, but Halt just hold up in this corner, and Wi-Fi going to be killed as they try to provide a little bit of relief, but that is going to be the Omen down. And Hummer trying to go in for one exchange. Broom does fall with the wall bang from the Ghost coming through. Hummer's the last member remaining. Manages to get a headshot onto the Killjoy, but that's going to be about where the party ends too. Dropping for Hawaii before they manage to pull away with the victory for this round.
Yeah, I mean, Montana State not even able to get on site. K's just playing so far up, so aggressively at that. And now the Sova's come through with the Aries. You know, game time is over. And in fact, it's Hawaii taking a timeout this time around. Maybe just making sure that they're not getting too far ahead of themselves here. Making sure they've got their ducks in a row so they can clear this one out 13-2.
Yeah, and I mean, a fair time for Montana State to also be talking a little bit about kind of what's going on in their mind besides just constant screaming as University of Hawaii bears closer and closer to that 13-2. But you kind of need to have that regain, that composure. I mean, you can lose the pistol rounds, you can lose the second round as well, since your opponents are probably going to be buying up. But after that, there are no mistakes that can be allowed to happen here. And Montana State have the opportunity to talk about the what ifs, the what if Hawaii comes away here, which incredibly likely, aside from Hawaii's performance, just based on their victory in the last round.
Yeah, and I look at this sort of game as a whole. We were talking about how Montana State were bold to pick they did not pick a sentinel on the defense here. My major concern just comes from what happens on the next pick here, because of course this is Hawaii's map pick. This is what you'd expect to sort of happen. They're going to win out on it, but I don't think in this fashion. And now that MSU are sort of forcing up with these sheriffs, they don't have a whole lot of credits going into the next round. You really have to try and clutch this one out here. And MSU, you can sort of see the disparity that's sort of erupting between these two teams. For the side of Hawaii, they've got nothing to complain about. They're feeling great. They're chilling.
Yeah, I'd be kicking my legs up if I was Hawaii, 2 rounds away from victory here. It was a great way to start the evening of, you know, some fantastic Valorant play. And Halt now slowly just creeping around in mid, and Montana State spread a little bit, just trying to hold out, maybe anticipating that Hawaii might get a bit confident, get a bit aggressive, and they can catch somebody out there. Not going to quite be the case though. Case slowly taking the turns, managing to land the one shot with the Marshall, waiting for that KO, sees Wi-Fi, knows that they're there, knows that they, more importantly, don't have too much of a way to get out, and immediately takes the shot. No armor means that one shot will do it from the Marshall. Irsa trying to connect. Uses that paint shot with a decent read that Yori was going to be closing in on them, but not quite with enough time. It's going to be the shot from the Marshall that finally closes it out. 3 kills to K's name for that round.
Yeah, I don't want to put the, what is it, the cart before the horse? Is that what they say? Yeah, this one's pretty raps. You can just tell Hawaii is just on a different level at this point. By the way, they're playing on like higher ping than everyone else because they're playing from an island in the middle of the Pacific, as we mentioned from the get-go. But nonetheless, this has just been an absolute clinic put on by the side of University of Hawaii, showing full well why they're confident on Ascent. They're confident going to these Plague maps against a team that they know they're better than. And at this point, what do you really do if you're MSU? You need a miracle at this point. 10 rounds in a row to force overtime, plus more. You're still gonna, at the very least, be a little rat there, pull up with the judge. So at least you get some numbers advantage going your way.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a great example of Montana kind of having that opportunity to adapt to Hawaii. They saw that the Jet was holding that Marshall on that catwalk and immediately smoke it off, press up with the blast packs. Not going to matter too much, and now the numbers are equalized. Q-tips going down. Wave to Earth, sending out that drone, seeing if there's a little bit of information that can be gathered on mid. Can he tag 2 people with that one Sova drone dart? I literally never knew that could happen. That is amazing to me. But a good read now coming in for the defenders to know that, hey, perhaps the defenders looking a little bit A heavy, but keep eyes out. Halt has the opportunity to walk right to Yori. And Yori might be heads up enough to know that Omen a little bit alone, given the numbers that were just seen at Tree. Levi now going to be looking to poke and prod with this flashbang, seeing what they can get out. Halt with the paranoia, not able to find too much, and going largely in Montana's favor for the moment. Yori hanging out around the Tree. Boom, trying to back out as that smoke comes close to dropping, but Broom able to make the final connection with the Bulldog. That was essential for ensuring that exchange goes their way. Yori, however, going to be putting pressure up onto the catwalk. No utility left.
Last player
Maybe call back the turret, but it's going to take far too long for them to actually get into the cooldown. Zirsa with the Aries. Yuri has to back off of the pressure, and Montana State managed to pull one back, and that was at the final hour.
It was 100% necessary for them to find that at that point. And I mean, the credit's not going to be the greatest across the board, but at the very least, you're able to get couple of Vandals. Wi-Fi, yeah, gonna be looking for Spectre instead. Could potentially buy a Bulldog if they so desire. But I mean, they could get Irsa to buy up like a Bulldog or Guardian for someone as well if they so wanted to. But I mean, at this point, Hawaii, they had very weak guns. It was sort of their bonus round. They had a Stinger, a Marshall, that sort of stuff. Now with full rifles, we can assume the worst at this point. Wave to Earth, just so aggressive. You don't expect this out of a Sova, but it's actually Q-Tips who finds that first pick as well. Levi, taking contact from 2 members, says, you know what? Nah, I'm not that good. I'm just going to back off for now.
And it looks like it worked for them. They get to live to see another exchange. Going to be the smokes towards that mid zone, preventing the defenders from getting any sight and allowing the attackers to pass through a little bit less hindered. As now University of Hawaii going to be sending their Omen slowly up towards that attacker's spawn, gathering some information. And as Broom slowly makes their way towards that catwalk, might have some opportunity to get the drop. No, it looks like the Reyna and Omen will both be past that Viper wall by that time. But still, something to keep eyes up and heads aware on if you are Montana State. Flash coming out. Now it looks like this exchange is firmly going in place on the site. Wave is actually pushing through. Or grenade. You're going to be finding one. It looks like the attackers weren't prepared for that. Avoiding the sonar arrow, going out recon bolt, rather getting some information, and Homrid having to take a back away. Yeoman finally rejoining the fight, but still quite a ways off. Just looking for any of those late rotations, those opportunities here. But speaking of opportunities, Homrid sees the Omen, has to back off. Q-Tips manages to find one. Just as Sova left on point. And it should be known that the plant will be safe for at least a moment because of that Omen's position.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit too long of alert coming through from Broom. I like the idea behind it, but the spike was on site. I feel at that point you sort of have to zero in on your prey, potentially push through market. But now Broom has a heavy load to lift, has sort of been in the backpack the entire round, but now has to sort of hop out, take matters into their own hands. Boathouse is just an absolute minefield right now. Both members looking either way. Broom takes a shot, gets a little bit of damage back the opposite way. Will not be able to convert on the second one. Homrid will end up clutching out that round. At the very least, Montana State keeping it a little bit interesting. I won't call it a comeback yet, but you know, it's a couple rounds potentially, you know, a mental comeback for next map, if anything.
Don't have too much to disagree with there. We look at Montana State, and they're not, aside from the score issue, they're still not settled in economically. We're seeing them really have to do some buy magic to try to get as many people armored up as possible. And it's going to be their opponents, University of Hawaii, who don't have to worry about it too much. They only have to win one more of the next 10 or so rounds. And with that, some good opportunity to try to really put more strain on Montana State. Abilities already being thrown out. KO knife going to be gathering some information for the defenders, as will that recon bolt. Oh, not quite able to connect. Case trying to take the shots. Halt takes a couple of bullets from the sheriff, but the blind comes in onto Broom. Broom not able to quite make the shots hit themselves. And Montana State in a very positive situation. 2 members remaining that KO. That Jet, Case, Levi, both the more lethal members, and Levi going to be the only one so far who proves any lethality within this round. 5 HP. However, the dream has to come true. It does not. MSU live to fight another day. Take a deeper breath. They managed to keep more members on the field this time.
Important thing about these sort of rounds as well is just the ultimates and what's coming up as well. Of note, Kay's going to be 1 point away from that, Yuri 1 point away from their own ultimate. So at the very least, even if they are to fall this round, there is sort of counterplay coming forward the opposite side. Whereas for MSU, you sort of just have to rip your ultimates whenever you're in a rough situation because of how many rounds you're down. For Levi, you can pop that null command just to sort of shut down the Viper's Pit, shut down the Showstopper. A lot of this can just be sort of nullified by that null command. Whereas on the opposite side, you're really reliant. You just have to rip them. You have to use them whenever you have them available. I'm sure that if we get a plant down, it's going to be Homrid popping down that ultimate just to try and give themselves as much of a chance as possible. Granted. Over towards the A site this time around. That knife scans nothing. And now, wool over the eyes once again of Montana State as Hawaii got several members available here. Showstopper going to come through as well. Irsa looking for something. Gets absolutely nothing as Levi shuts it down. Great flash to reply with. And they're just falling like flies. It is all down to Q-Tip. Last one left on site will find their mark. But in a 1v2 with the spike down in the open, it's going to be a monumental Herculean effort for them to get out of this one.
The drone comes out. Yuri right now just focused on that spike, just trying to make sure that Q-Tips feels the pressure. As time starts to slowly whittle away, that Sova's location will be revealed. Yuri holding steadfast towards this doorway to Earth, crab walking towards that corner turn. The information wasn't quite gathered by Q-Tips before the angle was taken. And with that, it's going to be the 13-5 going in favor of the University of Hawaii.
Yeah, not quite the 13-2 that I might have called. It might have been a little bit a mini caster curse there, but nonetheless, Hawaii just looked so dominant throughout that entire map. I don't think there's any arguments from either of us or even our producer in that sense that Hawaii just looked as if they were just a cut above, head and shoulders above the rest of them there. Montana State, they had some decent opportunities to sort of capitalize on, but honestly, that first half, they were few and far between at that, and those just everything was working well for the side of Hawaii.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed that was a little bit peculiar to me, Adam, um, given the map specifically, is that MSU had a better time on attack, at least in terms of rounds one, than they did on defense, and it's interesting to see. It kind of makes sense. They didn't have a composition that necessarily built towards a defensive standard. But still, with a map like Ascent, it's something that's always a little bit surprising to see kind of those results inverted.
Yeah, I think a major thing to keep in mind as well was because of the sort of oddball comp they came out with this Reyna, this Raze as well, normally expecting just a Jet and as well the Killjoy to sort of slot in there somewhere. It just felt as if they were trying something out a little bit, trying something that fit their playstyles a little bit more. Hawaii were just like, we'll play meta if it means that we're going to win in a dominant fashion. That's exactly what they did. They get 10 rounds on the defense, and they come away with their map victory as well. And now we have to see how the script flips here for Bind as well, because that's really what intrigues me. That's also a map that can be considered defender-sided. And of course, with MSU picking that one up, with how they showed on the defense on map number 1, I am sort of worried about how that plays out for map number 2.
Yeah, a little bit of concern as we tend to look forward, but we will be taking a quick break so the teams can get settled. We will come right back with the continuation at Bind. Make sure you stick around.
Of a squeamish or prudish disposition. The sound of a bell in the theater will warn you when to close your eyes or turn away, so that you may avoid witnessing certain scenes of an especially erotic or gruesome nature. Cannibal Girls.
Hello, welcome back, folks. A brief break, a fast break, as now we look towards our second map of this set versus Hawaii and Montana, University of Hawaii and Montana State University, I should properly say. But as I mentioned, going into bind, it's going to be Hawaii starting off on the defense here, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, Hawaii tape to tape on Ascent were sort of in control. Apart from that first pistol round, they just got their full buy-in. It was wraps from then on, and it was a quick map at that as well. I mean, I believe it was around 30 minutes, that entire map. It's a quick one. You don't really expect these teams to play Ascent as quickly as they did, but it was just UH sort of dominating from there. Now that we switch gears to bind, once again, a more defensive-sided map, we get to see a little bit more of the evolution of UH. On the defensive side of things, but nonetheless, Hawaii, they looked so good on Ascent. I highly doubt it's going to be. It would take a monumental effort from the side of Montana State University to sort of get back from that, because it was a rather heavy defeat at that.
I would agree. A very oppressive defeat coming in towards Montana State overall. I mean, there's always that opportunity for recovery here within EGF. Does not go without being said. But I want to look at Hawaii now here, Adam. I want to ask you the question. We saw them be very kind of fundamental with their composition on Ascent. Montana State, very much the opposite of that, where we're seeing a lot of change-ups that, let's be frank, it didn't seem quite gelled with them as it needed to. Do you think we see that fundamentality come in from Hawaii, and perhaps more loosely, do you think we see MSU continue to mix up what we might see as standard for bind?
So the fun thing about bind is that there's several different comps that can be sort of executed on this one. I know Northwood, team top 3 in all of CVAL, they play a breach comp. They don't play with a Viper at all. They just sort of play something very differently because of sort of their players and how they slot into it. In this sense, what is quote unquote meta on bind is different for every team. Loud played triple controller on bind for whatever reason. We've seen no Senti comps come through. We've seen Chamber come back on bind as well. Cypher has risen to prominence as well, just being so strong. Sage is quite good on bind as well. There's a wide variety of agents that you can pull out on bind. I want to see what these teams sort of go with, because if they go with mirror comps, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
Well, given Montana State's previous pick, I mean,
Oh!
already the ISO immediately getting slammed in, locked down by K's, and I think Montana State have to be feeling a little bit bold if they want to lock that in. I mean, K's, we talked about them being the top fragger before. ISO definitely going to help them be even more topper.
Oh, exactly. I mean, this is just throwing down the gauntlet saying, hey, listen, I'll beat you on the new agent. I mean, Irsa's considering it as well, but nonetheless, this is more of a standard comp coming through from MSU this time around. Of course, ISO isn't really hardwired into any comps as of right now, but I want to take some time to sort of talk about what this agent can provide. A major thing that analysts, players have sort of come up with, pistol round is where ISO can really thrive, because you use your vulnerable, you throw it down an alley that they're going for, and a classic is all of a sudden a sheriff. You just get your 2 shots, you have more accuracy, you're a little bit better at sort of finishing off those kills, and then you get a shield to follow it up with. Whereas on the flip side, that chamber that that I was talking about, at least, coming through from Q-tips, I want to see how they execute on this one. Very likely that both of these guys get locked into. Just such a strong agent on this map, but once again, Hawaii just going to go for no Viper, and instead opting for that ISO to give them a little bit more oomph.
And I'm really hoping we get to see somebody kind of enter that Tron ultimate potentially coming in from K's. You and I talked a while back about when ISO first came out. You were kind of giving me some coaching a little bit here, Adam, about situations in which you would be really crafty to see those ISO ults rather than just take a straight 1-to-1. That's things like trying to cancel out that chamber ultimate, trying to cancel out that raised showstopper, because you can't use any of those ultimates in the within that ISO ability. So very fascinating to see if it's get used for anything a little bit more higher level than just the one-on-one duels.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're just able to throw them down into the no-go zone at that as well. Throw them into the Shadow Realm. I want to see what that looks like. What I've always wondered, actually, this was something that a lot of the VCT observers were talking about. How do you free cam in ISO's ult? Because apparently you just get taken below the map, like all the way below the map, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, who knew that, underneath every single of these potentially real world locations, it's just a giant, electronic Tron dome for, people to get teleported to and fight to the death. Either way, we're going to be seeing the attacking Montana State start off here Looking up, Levi trying to exchange shots for Ursa. Starting off very well with a headshot connecting there to Chamber. Not able to use that teleport.
here.
Uh-oh.
Having the trigger discipline, manages to see if anybody else is going to be following up that ISO. Does not, and then wave to Earth. Immediately getting taken down. Ursa
Last
has the
player
paint shell out.
standing.
Bomb Buddy going in as well. It's all up to Broom and slowly moving around with that Brimstone at that.
Drop the toxins.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't ISO that was isolating those fights. In fact, it was the opposite side there, the Brimstone able to find it, and Broom is just like, guys, what's going on? I was just trying to lurk up through showers there, but now MSU have control of the map here. Once again, converting on the first pistol round for themselves, apart from Broom having some massive heroics here, but there's so many angles to check out here. It's going to be quite the monumental effort to get back in. It's an interesting play where MSU will win that pistol. They will win their sort of bonus after the fact, but afterwards it's going to be a tall tap. Never mind, Broom.
Remaining.
Prove me wrong. I might have put the cart before the carrot. Granted, Homrod has the lineup. Broom.
There.
Yeah, but I mean, Broom's gonna have the opportunity to try to get this kill. No, he's gonna be going in for the tap, but Homrod peeking right as Broom does. But man, that would have been a moment for Broom from looking like one of the weaker members, and I use that term lightly, on University of Hawaii. It's now coming out getting 3 kills right out the pistol. They want to make sure they start off on the head of this leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, Broom had a quiet first map. They were playing Omen. I guess Kaze and Levi just didn't give them any room to sort of do anything. Broom was like, hey, everyone gets their ones, right? It's like 7 rounds in. It's like, come on. Like, it's Kaze, it's a couple of 4Ks. You know, Levi has a bunch of 3Ks as well. It's like, God, come on. Let's share the wealth a little bit. That, wow.
I mean, sharing the wealth, Kay's gonna be immediately taking the headshot along with that Sky for University of Hawaii. So sharing the headshot wealth on the receiving end. Hulk gonna be taking down the wave to Earth, and University of Hawaii not looking so strong this time around. Although, again, kind of what you expect from the Armory, looking a little bit more overpowering in favor of the attacking side. Levi, they find themselves nestled into position, not quite able to make those connections. However, Armory taking them down with the Bulldog. Once again, Broom has to make it happen. This time, 5-on-1.
Yeah, this time doesn't have as good of a gun. Yeah, just gonna get shut down as Homrod finds the flawless. Hey, MSU, they're starting out really well on this map, and at the very least, it's sort of starting to push the narrative out of my mind a little bit that they were just gonna roll over and die on this map as well. Granted, it's 2 rounds in. It's very early to be calling that, but at the very least now, full buys coming through. I mean, look at the buy from MSU. It's 4 Bulldogs. It's not a half bad buy at that. Your Bulldogs can still match up. You just need that body shot, headshot combo with the burst, and you're still going to have the same efficacy as the Vandals and the Phantoms of the world at that.
I mean, it's worth noting that when we saw them on Ascent, MSU, even though they won the second round, they got torn apart for it. Not necessarily the case here. They were much more successful at holding their own. Broom moving within that shower's not quite able to get the connection with the Bulldog. Ursa going to come up victorious in that exchange, and University of Hawaii might be lamenting that one. Levi holding up on these crates on top of the scrap metal, sees the utility coming out, hears the ability orbs being picked up, and right now just playing the patient game, waiting to see if anybody from MSD will push through.
Oh, and this is great coverage as well coming through on the opposite side, just saying, hey, listen, Levi, you're allowed to sit there. You can just do what you want. Wave to Earth doing a great job of sort of providing that extra presence, but now, oh, Levi finally says the jig is up. Time to call it in. Wave to Earth on the opposite side, able to find one. Wi-Fi will finally shut it down, but it now is, I'll call it a 3v1. That is 1 HP left on the Brimstone. Wave to Earth finds another one. Halt! Well, what are you gonna do here? Absolutely nothing. Finally, Hayes on the ISO gets on the board. Hawaii, as expected, win their bye round.
I was a little bit optimistic for Montana State after those first 2 rounds, and even after the first little bit of this round. I think there was some momentum kind of working for them, but Levi just holding above those shower entries, or exits if you prefer, just waiting for anybody to push through. And as you said, such good coverage to make sure that they were able to hold that box. Very little threat on them.
Now, of course, full by the opposite way. Broom gonna really be the only one left upstream. No paddle. Yuri. Yeah, there you go. Yuri buys up for the homie as well. So now, yes, full buys on either side. Is really only the light shields on Levi making the difference. But Hayes once again willing to get aggressive here. Nice little
Spike
flick, gonna
down,
find
B.
one and immediately drops the wall down. Gets themselves out to safety, but a decent chunk of damage being taken. Gonna be calling over to the homie Sky to heal him back up.
Should be able to get that healing. Yeah, does so in fact in University of Hawaii feeling pretty much no worse for wear, as now Montana State looking to limp back into this fight, one member down. And with that Viper wall going up, it looks like they might be trying to go for a rotation off, as well as hold those angles for anybody who might be trying to go through Link themselves on the defender side, two holding towards long, but Yuri having to hold this entry once again, not as well covered, but still anybody coming in from that garden zone, really gonna have to be careful to check that.
I think everyone's gonna have to be careful in terms of this push. Yuri just sort of, once again, stays behind cover, but Irsa finds their mark on decays this time around. Irsa finds the second one. And oh, the patience was not rewarded. Just a little case of the Whiffingtons once again.
30 seconds left.
Now though, the coming through, they're expecting it. Wave to Earth still gonna be able to find it. It's a 3v3 still, and Hawaii baring their teeth, making it competitive. Levi finds another one. Trades on trades on trades, but that spike is still not planted. 15 seconds, 30 HP in a dream for Wave to Earth. Very low HP once again on Hammerid. This angle being held on the opposite side by Wi-Fi should be insurmountable at that. Wave to Earth gonna have to make some heroics.
And I mean, Wave to Earth, it's not even like they have the element of surprise on their side. I'm confident they know where Hammerid is, but not necessarily where Wi-Fi is. Wi-Fi taking that angle, and I mean, we're talking about that patience. It doesn't necessarily work for Hawaii, but it seems to work fairly well on the other side for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and I mean, MSU showing why this is their map pick, why they're confident on it. Hammerid 6-1, Irsa 6-3, getting in there down and dirty, as I like to say, just getting those frags when necessary. And now, while Wave to Earth does have that showstopper available, it's a little bit of a light buy. You really only want to use that if you're in a major situation. But of course, Levi has the free op available next round as well. So some big ultimates coming through from Hawaii in the next couple of rounds. We'll see if they can make use of those.
Wow. Very cool. Wave to Earth. Trying to telly or trying to last pack and manages to clean up Q-tips with that showstopper. Holt has that audio information as on the bomb buddy as well as the raise. Gonna slowly be waiting to make that peek, see if they can catch someone out. That guy was trying to watch as the rotations go through. Levi sees the shoulder of Irsa. Irsa not able to connect any onto Levi before the teleport out is there. It's going to be the ISO shield going in, clearing in just a little bit of space, making it all that much more threatening for the attackers to go in and connect. But the Brimstone done a great job at already securing the space through hookah, or at least a good portion of it. I imagine they still have to clear out just a little bit more, but there's going to be that raise in Sky once again holding in the gardens. Now just keeping eyes on site and towards along, making sure they can cover for each other. But this is not a lot of zone protection, especially if the Trailblazers going to be reading the info on them.
And the contact is on Yuri, who has that handle as well. So yeah, Wave to Earth just tries to go for it. Tries to find anything. Not going to be successful as Hammerid finds another couple of kills there. Viper's hit will be invested, and now this retake will be so challenging. Halt, Irsa linking up for a couple more on Decays and Broom, and now Levi. 1v4 situation. The Chamber, notorious for those headshots as always with the headhunters. Will they be able to hunt these heads this time around? Hammerid already landing a shot. Levi's location is revealed. They're just gonna TP across. Yeah, that's a little cheeky. They heard it though.
But certainly they're coming in from an MSU, and a fantastic opportunity to get some real momentum moving forward. And now, once again, the buys still looking very strong for MSU, not so much on the opposite end of the table. We're starting to see the triple digits, the double digits for a couple of members coming through on the econ.
Yeah, I mean, Shinigami just going to call that timeout and say, hey, listen, we got to sort of get back to the drawing board. We've got a lot of ultimates this time around. Let's make sure that we're holding this half. And I mean, as we mentioned, Bind generally seen as defensive sided because you once again have those quicker rotations. Some will say it's attack sided as well because you can just keep sort of flipping the map over and over again with these teleporters. Nonetheless, Chamber ultimate online. You've got your Brimstone ultimate online to prevent a plant as well. Definitely just have to go to the drawing board, basically. Take your time, make sure you're taking the fights as necessary, because a lot of these fights that Hawaii are losing are because the spike has been planted and they're just racing onto site. They're taking way too much space without clearing everything out.
Still a few more moments for these teams to kind of discuss exactly what's going to happen. And I mean, you mentioned the ultimates, particularly that the Chamber and the Brimstone ultimate coming out for the side of Hawaii, but also Montana State, if they're able to get that spike down, they do have that orbital strike of their own for a little bit of counterplay, a little bit of spike time pressure, should it be so necessary. And curious to see if Halt Freaks is able to get that plant down, get in position. Exactly how they decide to play that post plant should it get to that point. But either way, a good opportunity to try to pull more weapons out of the side of Hawaii. If you come up successful here, it's going to be looking very good for you, Levi. Pulling out that rifle, has to make that connection. Does so successfully, Onward. Taken down, and then Broom quick to follow up with some sweep. Trailblazer goes out of the elevator. Not able to find too much with it in terms of those kills, but it's going to be the backup from the defense. They already know they put the threat onto the attackers, have to recompose themselves.
Just great positioning from both sides, actually. Irsa going to be able to catch wave to earth. A little bit of an off angle, but now Levi has repositioned very quickly, finds a second one for themselves. The long gun of the law there, the tour de force, showing its brutal force at this point. Of course, Broom must be expecting someone else to be around, but look at this very deep play from Kays. Oh, the Phantom Spray. It's gonna be Broom who ends up converting on it, but now vulnerable, thrown out. It's gonna back off for the time being. Look at this, they're just getting pincered in here by the side of UH.
And the attackers having to wholesale just try to back away from A side, and they're doing it very slowly, very carefully. But on the attacking side, 30 seconds left before Spike has to go down. You don't have time to play carefully. You have to be a little bit more rambunctious unless they're just trying to hold on to these rifles. Either way, a lot of space given up, and if you're on the side of University of Hawaii, you can really do some damage here as the members just remain like a boa constrictor around the neck of Montana State. They managed to get one. They're going to be surely looking to go in for the plant. There's not enough time at this rate. And Halt just going to be trying to get the final shot onto Case. Doesn't manage to do so successfully. All kills go through, and despite what was looking like a long linger, nobody able to do anything from Montana State.
Yeah, one ult gets them so much value there from Levi, and that's really what you wanted to see from the side of Hawaii that round, using that tour de force to its full force at that. And now, we've got a couple of major ultimates still available. You've got those orbital strikes on both sides, but you've got the domain expansion. I don't actually know what it's called. I'm just going to call it domain expansion for now. But Case has that to toss them into the Shadow Realm 1v1. Mono Imano. We'll see if they opt to use that, because it can be very useful for late rounds as well. Stall out your plant as the Roombas. Make a nice little kit there.
And utility going back and forth, but it's going to be Kays who ends up coming out victorious against Amarid. So Viper not going to be able to buy any clearance for the attacking team to get their spike nestled in towards site. As well as no post-plant opportunities against this defending team. A nice little blast pack coming through from Ursa, getting connected on to Kays. However, going to be connecting on to Halt. A few more shots than they probably would have liked, but the kill is exactly where they wanted it to be. And the defenders not too quick to respond, not too quick to perhaps overpressure B site. Instead, they're just going to be two remaining on A, and that Brim, in fact, still trying to take that map control, that zone, that spacing as is necessary. MSU now all huddled through this garden, trying to slowly find their way, but Sky Flash goes out. Yuri definitely gets that information. Shaking, looking to go out. Yuri almost overexposing themselves on that angle, but it's the 1-for-1. Ursa manages to fall on Q-tips. Gets the exchange. Levi catches the Chamber as he's rotating out of there towards the safety. Levi not quite able to fire through the metal bin. Wi-Fi as they try to run away through. Make sure everybody else gets swept up.
Yeah, I mean, that's really well played from Hawaii. They sort of isolate all those fights as necessary. Really good job from Yuri specifically to sort of just get two for themselves, hold it down as long as possible. Interesting thing to note, though, K has had, I looked it up in the meantime, the kill contract available. Potentially, if you isolate that 1v1 versus Irsa, you suppress them, you're going into the domain. You know, Vandal versus Judge, you're always going to be favored in that situation. Now, you know, still have that opportunity to do so, but it does heal you back up to full. It suppresses everyone, so could be good to sort of shut someone down. We'll see if they opt to use it this time around, as instead it's Q-tips popping the tour de force.
I've got your trail.
Speakers go out as well, getting a good read as to where some of the positions might be. Case, I've not seen this angle of it. I think they're just really close to the teleporter, trying to connect onto something. Waiting for those pings, those timings to come through. Oh, but Q-Tips catches them a little off, and University of Hawaii Broom, trying to sneak creep around onto Ursa, but immediately gets hit by the showstopper full force Montana State. Again, you mentioned the power of that chamber ultimate, and it came through heavy there.
Yeah, I mean, granted, Case was, I don't know what Case was looking at. Case had his head in the gutter at that point. So, I mean, you know, take with it what you will. At the very least, you know, it is another round back on the board for Montana State, continuing to hold that 2-round lead. It's going to be a little bit of a rough buy now, though, for the side of University of Hawaii. A couple of Bulldogs at the very least going to come through, but a lot of those Sheriffs, once again, are going to be on the agenda. I'm gonna try and pug it out a little bit more. Wave to Earth is very far forward, and Levi tries to peek, but Q-Tips is there.
Much more confident Montana State, and Wave to Earth actually trying to go for the swing off that Trailblazer. A Broom was dead there either way, whether they make the rotation or just sit and get fried. Manages to catch that ISO out, tries to go for the reload, the quick swap, and manages to connect onto Yori as well. Excellent play from the chamber player on one Q-Tips, and Montana State going to be getting the plant 3-6 now in their favor.
Yeah, honestly, great stuff coming through from Montana State to continue building that lead. This is what we wanted to see come through from them. I think the major reason as to why that first map felt so dominant, Case says they were scratching their nose. I was scratching my nose. I don't scratch your nose around a chamber. Chamber can smell that. Chamber will take advantage of it at that. Nonetheless, we want to see Montana State sort of put forward this strong effort, and I want to see how the answer is going to be from Hawaii in the next couple of rounds. If they're able to even this back out to maybe 5-7, 6-6 at the best of situations, want to see what they can cook up on their attack, because they've got that double duelist this time around. You've got the ISO and Raze, which can be so devastating to deal with as well.
Right now for the attacking team, just slow going. Tomrid once again with that Viper wall. Not up, at least it wasn't. As I was saying, that does go up in the meantime. Gonna be holding some of that A threat, so that Link not necessarily gonna be pressured all that aggressively. Trailblazer goes out. Levi gonna be cleaning it up, making sure nobody gets scouted out there. And a nice connection onto Wi-Fi. Gonna be Halt slowly trying to get that spike in their hands for some recovery. Does so successfully, but Montana State now making this a more even fight, 3-2 in favor of Hawaii this time around. And Levi connecting with their third. One Q-Tips trying to play slow, knows that the chamber isn't right there, saw the weapon get picked up, but it wasn't enough. Levi proven to be the better Frenchman in that situation.
Yeah, honestly, excellent stuff coming through from Levi. Just isolates 1v1 after 1v1, peeking at in every situation necessary there, and now has that tour de force back online. So honestly, great stuff. Just sort of taking their time to isolate each and every one of those fights, and now Hawaii trying to scrape it back. Of course, Montana has enough credits to sort of buy out the rest of the half here, so for Hawaii, that is quite paramount for them to continue this momentum for themselves. But we'll see how they decide to execute on it once again. This time around, heavy stack towards showers. They just want that orb at all costs, but this long peek. Q-Tips is aware of where Levi likes to chill out at this point.
It's just good heads-up awareness. Levi kind of playing it a little bit casually, just trying to break their keyboard with that control key. If you prefer, now the attackers looking like they have their eyes set a little bit more towards the A site, and Ursa slowly creeping up towards that U-Haul, trying to route towards the back end of A site. Might be making it a little bit easier for Wi-Fi to get nestled in here, but Broom holds this angle, sees the barrel peeking through, manages to make the connection, and Wi-Fi, I don't believe they had all their spots covered, as the kill feed does show. Two members from the attacking team remain stuck in this U-Haul position. I'm not sure if the University of Hawaii defenders are necessarily tuned into this. We're going to see Raze around the corner, but Wave to Earth eventually taking down that Raze. Not going to be proven to come out clean and unaffected through that rotation. Broom now has to hold A site while the rest of the defenders slowly rotate around. And Case, we're trying this again. Not quite sure what we're seeing.
Oh.
It's going to be that kill contract. Does manage to connect onto Ursa. Puts himself in a safe spot to play as well.
Last
Broom
player
gets
standing.
cleaned up. It's all up to this ISO
Welcome
Case.
to my
Holding
world.
firm, and it's going to be the Viper's pit that goes down. Going to make it very hard to pierce through any of this. Vulnerable goes out, but there's not the follow-up that is necessary.
Toxins
Armor
going up.
gonna be very low anyway. Case manages to make their way around the pit.
Uh-oh.
The pings have to come through from that room. At least getting a little bit of info. No, Case manages to make the connection. And with that, the defuse is gonna come through. And University of Hawaii, you might have had it right. They might make it a 6-6.
I had a job to do.
Yeah, I mean, great
did it.
use of that domain expansion there to sort of isolate out one
round
kill.
in
And the
the
major
half.
thing is when you go into the domain, you get healed, and when you come back out, you end up with the same HP that you were in the land of the living there. That's a big factor as to how Case is able to clutch it out, because it was a 120 hit from the side of Ursa, but not able to convert on that, and then just isolating those 1v1s once again. Callisto going to take that time to just say, okay, let's chill it out. Let's make sure we get an advantage going into the half here. Because the worst thing that they could sort of have at this point with the lead they had at 6-3 is to go in tied up. And now all of a sudden Hawaii, with this double duelist, with this aggressive comp for the attacking side, are able to go back into the side of their choice.
I really respect the utilization of all resources here, especially the timeouts. I feel like there have been so many times, Adam, where we've just seen teams not necessarily use that to their full advantage. They'll just play through an entire map, sometimes an entire set, without really having that time to sit down and talk and discuss. And as you mentioned, especially right before the half, when your entire gameplay style has to potentially kind of change or shift, or at least the map for you is going to be flipping. Very good to kind of get your head around what the strategy, what the plan needs to be looking forward.
And I think the major thing for Montana State, the use of this timeout might not just be to sort of wrap up a strategy for this round, but also sort of set the tone for the defensive side as well. Maybe pointing out specific tendencies that have come through on either side. We'll have to see what ends up coming through in this final round. There's not a whole lot of ultimates available for Montana State, so they're sort of fighting against the current here. Levi posted it up in Hookah already, but no dice yet.
Slowly, the attackers are starting to wedge their way around Levi. Sees the side hammer in, makes the shot, makes the connection, and that's all they're going to need. They can immediately back out and put a little bit more of that pressure on as well. Trademark, and like it's also locking down Puka, not locking down, but rather giving that information should anybody try to breach that angle. Q-Tip slowly making these cuts to allow for a little bit more vision onto A. Orbital strike comes in, doesn't manage to find all that much, but it still pushes back that distance that the Chamber of the Sky were slowly making. So the attackers are going to start to feel some slight pressure from the time bank here.
Yeah, that's a big factor as well. You know, 45 seconds left to try and plant.
There.
You still got this raise ultimate potentially to shut down a plant situation, and now you just don't have as much info as you want. There's only 3 members on site here, but you wouldn't know that they're playing as if the entire team is stacked up here. A brief barrel
30
points out.
seconds left.
Now, Q-Tips taken down relatively low, will get healed up by the second health bar in the sky. But you've got 20 seconds now. You've got to pull the trigger at some point. Broom gets an inkling of a feeling as Ursa shuts it down. But once again, you're still running out of time. Wave to Earth is going to go up with that. We're not actually going to get a chance as Q-Tip shuts it down. And now with 10 seconds left, finally they will get the plant down. Numbers advantage to Montana State. That's just a little bit of a messy sort of hold from the side of Hawaii has led to them being down in numbers.
Yeah, and Hawaii, despite it feeling like there were 5 people on point, still just now getting their Chamber and Sky nestled onto A
Last
site.
player standing.
And that's going to make it very difficult for them to try to get any headway here. Yuri slowly wrapping around that U-Haul, trying to get the shots in, but has to be very careful from the engineer. Haul's going to be taking the shots. Yursa didn't look expected there, taking the kill. Nice headshot from the Vandal, ensuring that 5-7
Switching
is
sides.
the end of this half.
Yeah, I mean, Montana State should be pretty happy with that, you know, sort of showing they do have life behind their roster at that, sort of dispelling any narratives we might have been pushing from that first half where Hawaii was up 10-2. But now Hawaii have a chance to sort of get back onto the side that I think they'd be happier on at that, considering they've got this double duelist, considering you've got this Sky Brim that can be so good at pushing forward. I mean, it's really only the difference of an ISO instead of a Viper, but in that case, you just have quicker executes. And I think the major qualm that both of us have with that attacking half from Montana State was sometimes it just took a little too long. And now for the University of Hawaii, they can maybe just speed that up a little bit, play more at their pace. I say that and they just immediately default. The casting curses are too real.
Sometimes you curse the teams, sometimes you just curse yourselves and the stream. But either way, you're right on that second point. University of Hawaii going to be playing that a little bit slower. Just utilizing this information. Hayes, however, not going to quite get the memo, immediately taken down towards Hookah. Halt not smoked off early enough. Those shots able to connect with the Ghost there. Nice connection from the right click. Wave to Earth, able to land those shots. And Levi able to rebuild a bit of health, but it's not going to matter all that much as Irsa can connect with the Ghost of their own. And now the pressure really going to be felt here from University of Hawaii. Montana State using a lot of kit to kind of funnel them in a very specific direction. Q-Tips going to be hearing the shots come through, so they're going to know there's at least a one there. Oh, but the push has to come through, and Wave to Earth very quick on those right
Player standing.
Yeah, I mean, on the opposite side, though, Hamad holds the line there. A lot of members are very low health on side as well. The Sky did go down very early on into the round, so Yuri has a lot to work with here, but it is possible. Irsa, 4 HP. Halt's going to be the next one to peek. They're just peeking one by one. This is exactly what Yuri needs. Now with the flash available, will pop that guy. Does pump it very late. Halt will be able to convert at the end of it. Got a little dicey at the end, but nonetheless, Montana State once again winning a pistol round. And despite the fact that Montana State have not had the most success specifically on Ascent, they've won every single... Have they won every single pistol round? No. They lost the second half one. They've won 3 out of 4, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of interesting to understand, you know, when we look at Ascent, why that is a team that can win those so reliably, but then maybe have a more weaker performance as the more high power and bigger blasting rifles start to come through. Either way, University of Hawaii starts to look very aggressive through those showers with 4 members remain standing. Chamber going in through that short. And Halt's going to be looking to throw down some smoke, making it a little bit more difficult for the rest of the team to get moved up. And Q-Tips, look at Marshall. Again, we see Marshall constellations here. So far, 2 out of 2 maps. And take the time to reload, but I mean, flare firing and ace in their way. And it's going to be the Sheriff being picked up as well. I mean, it's what you expect. Again, you get that extra buy that comes through for second round for those victorious in the first. But just to see that ace come through in such an entertaining way, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the major thing behind that is that, you know, 100% accurate from hip fire, by the way, if you're not moving on the Marshall. A second thing, no one has shields, so body shots are fine. I'm pretty sure maybe there was one headshot that came through, but Q-Tips just sat there firing from the hip, looking like a cowboy out there. Finds the full ace. You know, impressive stuff from Q-Tips, and nonetheless, call it what you will. Yes, it was, you know, against the low eco, sort of the safe pistol round, but hey, you know what? An ace is an ace. He earned it at that. Nonetheless, Kays has earned his paycheck with that one, finds 2, and all of a sudden B-site very open as a 3 push through long is unsuccessful.
Yeah, the shield's going to be coming out from Kays with a double tap as well, ensuring they have themselves a little bit more space. I believe that was the broken shield, that broken instance of damage as worded by the game character descriptions. And Irsa having to back out with that judge, feeling a lot of pressure, and knowing that Irsa is holding that judge, there's a little bit of a wider swing from Kays, able to get those shots, and knowing that damage just isn't going to be able to come through.
Yeah, and actually, I have more information. I know one of the major questions you had last week about the double tap was, hey, how does it interact with shotgun? So they count as one instance of damage. So even if you have a big old shotgun shot, you know, 160, all of the bullets hitting the head, doesn't matter. The double tap will stop that. Mollies though are a big one. If you step on a molly, you will get it'll just shred away. Fall damage does not get taken when you have double tap up, and it doesn't eat it up. That's the interesting one to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, fall damage immunity is kind of what I'm hearing here, but Q-Tips gonna be starting things off very good way. Doesn't teleport out, I believe. I didn't hear the snap of the fingers getting them out of that situation. It also looks like their rendezvous has not necessarily been placed. But Wave to Earth now stuck in a very uncomfortable position. Has to be very careful about how they play around this chamber because they can't really get away all that aggressively. Case not managing to connect against a Wi-Fi, but Q-Tips actually managed to take their eye off the ball for just a moment. Wave to Earth taken down, as is Broome. University of Hawaii now reeling for numbers here. It's all up to that Sky, all up to the Rays to try to get that spike and get those numbers potentially working back in their favor, but it's got to be a little bit stretched when it comes to that time limit.
Yeah, I mean, Wi-Fi has the spike well in their sights here. They sort of got a crossfire set up here for a contact play. Wi-Fi, though, the contact that you're taking might not be the most positive one. Yep, see you later. Going to go through that TP to get out of there. But now Yuri just going to try and push forward with the guiding light.
30 seconds
That sort of
left.
cleared out that area, but the spike's sort of down in no man's land. They were able to pick that up, but there's no real access to site here. So it might just be a save from the last two members. Gotta do what you gotta do, but that number on the top of the scoreboard isn't going up if you're U Hawaii. That's where you start to worry.
Certainly starts to worry, and it looks like they decide to commit, but it might be just a bit too late as that snake bite comes out, and Wave are trying to use those blast packs to get in, immediately swatted out of the air by Pomeran. Yuri not able to find anything, tries to just go in for a few more kills. Nothing doing as Wi-Fi, as Ursa remains standing and put their team at 10-6.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to look a little bit rough for the side of Hawaii in this map. Montana feel very confident on this map from what we can tell, and Hawaii have been sort of stumped at whatever they opt to go for. Now you look at the ultimates available. It's really only that ultimate, the ISO ultimate. Oh my goodness, word salad. ISO ultimate, the kill contract is available versus that tour de force. And in fact, if you are able to isolate out the tour de force this time around, you're going to feel really good because you suppress them. That tour de force just goes back into the pockets there, and lest the side of Montana State University have a gun on that chamber as well, it's going to be a pretty one-sided affair for K's in the abyss there. And of course, the gun that chamber has right now, I believe, is that operator. Might have been recovered, might not have been recovered with the time that was left remaining. So we'll have to find out how that works out, the interaction that can go on between ISO and chamber, and if either of them know about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, the knowledge gap certainly might be a factor here. I would be a little bit reluctant to say that wholeheartedly with my full chest, but either way, still very excited to see the ISO hold the kill contract come through. We're going to be saying it as often as we can, now that we've learned the name of it here, Adam. But the kill contract...
I like domain expansion. I like Shadow Realm. I like all of them.
Fair. It's fair, but, you know... But we're going to be looking to see exactly who that pulls in and what they can find with it. The first task we're going to be trying to figure out, if they do go for that strategy, where that chamber is located. Taken down, pressured out.
Destabilizing.
Right, egregiously, and it's going to be that undercut thrown in, that vulnerability applied to anybody caught in its path. Not quite a huge factor, however. Ursa holding up in showers. Have to be careful as these smokes break. Doesn't take down K's, and Q-Tips still hanging here, blocks through the line of sight of that chamber. So dangerous. But K's not going to be opting to use that ultimate instead. Just allowing that chamber the time to try to push in aggressively onwards. Not able to connect on Yuri initially, but eventually does come through clean. Q-Tips did pick up that weapon, so the isolation does come through, which no longer a factor. K's is dead. They will have something to back themselves up with. Levi holding up on high, and that Brim holding within U-Haul. Two very uncomfortable positions for that chamber to have to check at the same time. A little bit of information trying to be drawn. And Broome's going to be sneaking around through that U-Haul, managing to get the shots and the connection. Some great play off of each other, even though they didn't necessarily make contact at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, it was a good contact play at that, just sort of playing off of each other's contact, which is what was most important there. Of note, while the kill contract wasn't used, we didn't get to see the funny interactions. At the very least, you're saving that for a rainy day. Now you have that for a potential post-plant situation. And a major thing is that K's can toss someone down into the Shadow Realm, when they're trying to defuse the spike. If it's a 1v1, K's in a post plant will always end up winning. Either you find the kill or you just burn the clock down as long as you can to prevent them from defusing that spike as well. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag there. But meanwhile, mixed bag as we see Wave to Earth just jumping in at a stinger of all things, says, hey, let's get down and dirty to get themselves onto the B site. Now, University of Hawaii starting to get back into their mojo here. 5v3 off the rip, 4 ultimates available. You use one of them to secure up this round and you'll still be in good shape for the next couple rounds.
Solo. Q-Tips lining up that shot beautifully with Wave to Earth as that Raze manages to turn the corner. The right there at them a little bit too high for the kill on the K's, but it's going to be that double tap coming in to effectively give them a little bit more benefit here. So now as the last member goes into the kill contract, trying to jump around, trying to close that distance, but it's not going to happen. The judge right there, and K's brought right back out. Attackers winning as if nothing had ever happened in the first place.
Okay, that's another round on the board for Hawaii, and that's good because now their economy is starting to look a lot better, despite the general feelings of inflation on the island. Doesn't seem to be taking effect to this team on this half thus far. Granted, you're still down a couple of rounds. MSU, they're putting everything into this one. The operator picked up by Q-Tips. Light shields on a couple members. They're really just trying to convert another round win because they get to 11. They start to put a lot more pressure on the side of Hawaii. But if they fall this round, they're going to be tied up at double digits apiece.
Double digits. Yeah, it's going to be very tough to kind of pierce through. Showers immediately hit with the Viper's Pit. Cage managed to do better on Arlington, however. Really looks like he's coming in, as well as the contingency trying to just buy a lot of space for the attackers. But so far, all it does is get them 2 kills. And questionable whether that was based off the abilities. Halt making an uncomfortable rotation through the paint shells. The location's still going to be revealed. And the 2 members down to Earth, or Wave to Earth, excuse me, pushing in, getting that kill at U-Haul, and 2 members remaining. I mean, we talked about it. The economy will not be there for Montana State, so it looks like they're just playing discretion rather than valor.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're just going to back it off. They need to save this operator. They basically the exact same thing that we're seeing, where a couple members are in the double digits in terms of their credits available. Everyone else from the side of Hawaii just going to back off of this one. They might go hunting for some of these rifles as well, knowing full well they've got their round in tow, but don't want to over chase here specifically into that chamber. Yuri. They're going to get out. They're not going to peek this one. They're just going to hold their line. And yeah, it's starting to get a little bit dicey here for the side of Montana State, because now your buy is a Vandal, an Operator, a Stinger, and 2 whatever Halt Freak stops to go for. Very likely just a classic.
Yeah, it's not going to be looking optimistic for this round against Montana State. Very close to, I believe this is the first time on this map that University of Hawaii could be in the driver's seat in terms of that round scoring, potentially going up to 11-10. But part before the horse, as you mentioned before, K's now going to be looking to go in once again with that contingency, swinging in off the. I want to compare it to a garage door. That would be cool, actually. I guess normal door. Trying to throw up a lot of smoke by their team, a lot of space, snake bites included. But throwing out the Viper wall behind them, trying to buy that space from Garden, as will this orbital strike. University of Hawaii, Montana State both committing quite a bit. Homrid throws in the snake bite, but caught without the rifle in hand. Does manage to pick up Levy with it, though. Halt holding this corner, but very close because of the stinger. Doesn't quite find anything on the connection. University of Hawaii now certainly want to be going for this chamber with the
spike planted.
Love to get that last piece of heavy equipment away from Montana State.
Yeah, especially since they just won't be able to buy up again. Now, wasn't able to buy anything last round apart from potentially their shields. Q-Tips is trying to clear all of these angles, but the crossfire is devastating here. Pulls up the Headhunter instead, is able to get an angle and Wave to Earth. Now all of a sudden it comes down to a 1v2, but Broom is there as the hammer once again. Keeps it locked, and now, as we mentioned, tied up at 10s. Montana State starting to lose grasp of things, and yep, great time for Homer to just say, hey, let's take some time. Let's talk about our strats here, because we're starting to lose our touch.
Yeah, no, this is a slippery slope that you want to try to put the soccer cleats on as fast as you can. Ice climbing cleats, I don't know if those are all that different. I don't play sports. Anyway, Montana State definitely need to kind of find that friction to halt their slide down, because they were really comfortable at the first half. They were really comfortable going into the second, but then slowly we've seen Hawaii start to whittle away at them. And if I'm Montana State, you gotta maintain that strong mental game.
Yeah, it's really tough here because Hawaii were sort of weaker on their first half as well, despite them picking the side here. This is, of course, Montana State's pick, but their comp seemed more geared towards the attack, very much akin to how it was last time around on Ascent, where Montana State had a more attacker-sided or attacker-focused comp, and they started on the defense. So they were playing a little bit backwards, but this time around, Hawaii are able to scrape it back to even keels here. And now with 4 rounds left, you got to win 3 of 4 no matter who you are if you want to save yourself from overtime. Montana State just trying to make sure they can secure it out because this is their full buy. Next round's going to be forced to be a save, and then you just got to win the last 2. You want to give yourself a little bit more breathing room there. Whereas for the side of Hawaii, you've got all the breathing room you need. You've got more than enough to buy out the rest of this half, or whatever is relevant of the half at least.
Certainly, and Montana State, there are going to be some parts of their equipment that are just a little bit lacking. So I believe 2 light shield buys coming through, and that could potentially make a difference. Those long distance phantoms are being played here. Wave to Earth, man, you can slide in through that hookah. Gets a shot from the Vandal from the blind. That is a little bit outside the realm of wacky for me here, Adam. And Room is going to be going in for what should potentially be a very fast plant. You can see some smoke, looks like getting set up. Levi holding towards. And it looks like they have the read that most of the defenders are going to be coming through from that spot. Going to showstop here, so trying to make the connection. Does so onto Broom. Levi quick with the cleanup, 2 on 2. Smoke's coming in once again, making it for the attackers to put up too much of a post plant set here. Nice paint shove, forcing Hulk with some uncomfortable rotations. Wave to Earth there with some clean. Levi providing that emotional support as well to help ensure that their team now starts to take that lead.
Yeah, now Montana State are in rough shape. They're trying to force up with everything that they've got because, you know, this is them trying to save overtime. Next round is going to be them trying to save the game if it goes the way as expected. This time around, of course, it's a more even footing for the side of both of these teams. I mean, look, 17 kills apiece for Levi, Wave to Earth, and K's. On the opposite side, Irsa, Hamrid, Q-Tips all with 19 apiece. And yet somehow Hawaii has been able to piece together enough rounds to make it sort of stick. Felt as if when Montana State were on their attacking side, they were the ones sort of getting those 3-4 member wins. And this time it's Hawaii are the ones with sort of the Pyrrhic victories at that. Trades on trades once again as Wi-Fi and K's trade back and forth despite the weaker weaponry on the side of MSU. But nonetheless, that damage has been dealt. I believe it's to Wi-Fi, sitting at like 2 HP maybe? Not a lot.
Yeah, very, very dangerous situation for that Sky player to be in. But the quick rotation onto a through the teleporter going to be essential here for the attackers. It's going to be the Molly going out, not for post plant, but instead for just buying a little bit of space, allowing that spike to go down. Perhaps a bit unnecessary given the entire force from the defenders were on that B site. Yrsa has to slowly peek out through that smoke. We saw that there and ready. The 2 remaining members in U-Haul. Wi-Fi dangerously low. Try to be playing off of some information gathering for Yrsa. But things looking very good. The defuse starting to come through. Yuri not bothered by it. The defuse
One enemy
now
remaining.
going to be connecting in full this time. The blind goes out. The range. Oh no, Yuri dropping the ball. Yrsa managing to connect. And Montana State, that was looking so close, but really that was the skies to lose.
Oh my goodness, Yrsa just holds the hammer once again, despite being full blind, just sort of puts on the dancing shoes, gets around all the bullets, and that is what matters here, because when you needed it most, Yrsa comes through in kind. And just a little bit of a messy end to that round from the side of University of Hawaii, just over-peaking a little bit too much. Realistically, there's no way that Wi-Fi should have been able to find that frag onto Levi with, what, 5 HP and a Spectre? Just had to be a little bit more thorough with that post plant at that. You didn't really need to peek at all. Just sort of wait for them to push forward on their own. But now, Operator versus Tour de Force on the opposite side here. Q-Tips, are they expecting this? They should be expecting this. Oh, okay. He's caught with his pants down. That's an early pick for the side of Montana State.
Looking great off of that performance so far. Trailblazer goes out. Don't I don't believe it made contact with that chamber or brim, but may have still gotten the information as necessary. The attackers now a little bit stunned. They know that that chamber is likely still going to be creeping around on that A site. So the question now becomes, do they want to try to go once more, poke and prod at those players, or do they want to go to the B site, which, as we know, and they can probably infer, has a little bit more of a heavy presence in terms of numbers. But it looks like the routing is going to be towards Spike at B. Q-Tip's content to just keep holding it down. This is their job with the sniper rifle. Here he's trying to get some clears there. Doesn't find all that much with the Trailblazer. The Wi-Fi going to be throwing in the guiding lights, getting the blinds out.
30 seconds
Onward
left.
also having their approximate location revealed. But University of Hawaii, despite losing that first one, Levi turning it around with the rest of their team as a matter of fact. And now it's up to the two remaining members that raise that chamber. Now come in and retake with some sort of pressure. Chamber, I believe, should still have that op. See them scoping down
One
that
enemy
angle.
remaining.
Connecting on Earsun. The connection's trying to come through. Q-Tips managing to do the swap. Finding the success with that headhunter. Finding the upshot onto Broom as well. That was probably an unnecessary peek if you're asking me, but Levi, Yuri, both going to be learning their lessons, just holding, waiting for the aggression to come through from the chamber themselves. Q-Tip turning their back to Levi, and Levi just content to wait their barrels stuffing as the moment presents itself. University of Hawaii are the first ones to 12, and the first ones to put themselves to that match point.
Yeah, and I mean, Q-Tips is going to be relying on that tour de force this time around, but look at the rest of the buy. It's not a buy. That's what it is. It's really poor coming through from the rest of MSU. Halt is just selling smokes and say, oh, what can I get here? Oh, man, imagine your game riding on Light Shield's Marshall at that. It's going to be an absolute miracle if it is Montana State pushing this to overtime. They've got their one ultimate available, and as we mentioned, can just be shut down by ISO immediately. But look at this, they're stacked over towards A. All this presence that has been shown towards B from the chamber and the sky is going to be misguided. K is going to go right down into the shadow realm, taking their time. Stinger versus Bangle, what did you expect? Wave to Earth over the top, going to shut it down as well. It is all on Iris's shoulders, taken down right away. And it is a 4v2 or tour de force and a Spectre against the world. You're going to need something absolutely massive. And hey, they say, see you later, we're going to B.
Yeah, those Seekers are going to be giving that information at the showers. Held by at least one member of Montana State. Levi still on this hold. It's going to be the wraparound. Makes connection with the chamber, but I'm not sure if Q-Tip saw before they made the turn. But either way, Wi-Fi's going to be paying for it. You can claim the kill onto Levi, but the damage is done, and another unfortunate reload coming in from Q-Tips puts them in their grave. University of Hawaii making sure this does not go into overtime.
Yeah, making sure it doesn't go into overtime, making sure it doesn't go into map number 3 as well. Sort of holding it down despite a couple of early scares at the beginning of that map. They're able to bring it all the way back. And I think, honestly, big kudos to Montana State University for being able to come back after what was effectively a dominant round 1 win from the side of Hawaii. Yeah, dominant round 1 loss, I dare say, from Montana State. They were able to come back, gain their composure, but once University of Hawaii got the wave rolling there, couldn't be stopped.
Yeah, you know, I hear a lot of casters use the phrase like, oh, this is a completely different looking team. When they say that, though, it's usually like, oh, the result has been flipped here, right? Like, oh, they suffered a really bad loss, and now they came back strong, and they came back with a victory on the second map, whatever. Not the case with Montana State, and I will still say a completely different looking team. They still suffered the loss, but it was so much of a closer match there on Bind than we saw on Ascent. I think there's some real credit to give them there, Adam.
Yeah, of course. I think, nonetheless, Montana State have shown time and time again that they're so close to being able to sort of get over that lip. They're like at that 95% right now to just being able to sort of show what they're really worth. And unfortunately, that 95% did not become the 100 or 110% that you need to sort of cover that lip today. University of Hawaii still coming away with a 2-0 victory, but honestly, can't complain with how Hawaii played either. They showed that, hey, despite them not being the force that they once were, they still come to play and they can still frag out.
Yeah, so for Hawaii, they're going to be sitting a little bit more comfortably now at a 4-2 win record, and Montana State, I'm still going to put them down as a bunch of question marks because there's a lot of data we don't necessarily know, Adam, but either way, Hawaii very happy about that, and I do think Montana should walk away with some feathers in their cap as well. However, folks, We are going to be taking a quick break before we hop back, so make sure you stick around. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back, folks. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We are now in the interview booth, and we are sitting here with none other than the controller player for University of Hawaii, Broom. Broom, hello, welcome, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, going into this match, I'm sure Adam's going to have plenty of questions about, the thoughts towards that second map, maybe. But I want to know about the pregame before Ascent, before Bind. What was your team's mindset at? Was this, kind of more research from you and your team, or was this just a more casual game that you guys were just, we're just gonna chalk it up another day at the office?
Honestly, it was, we had a lot of respect for the other team. They're really good, especially on that bind map. We were really sweating for that map. But yeah, we just researched them a little bit. We VOD reviewed them, obviously, and we just played our own style.
Yeah, and of course, going into a bind specifically, I'm just gonna map one. We saw what happened. A very strong victory from you guys at that. Sort of gotten the Levi and K's Kaze backpack at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let them sort of do their thing. But map two, as you mentioned, a little bit nervous going into bind, and we saw that ISO pick come out. Is that something that your team has been prepping for? What's your like sort of idea behind ISO as an agent and integrating that into your comps?
So we've been planning on using him recently, whenever he came out, I guess. But his kit is like really good, especially on Kaze, our duelist player, because he's really good at aiming and 1v1s. So we're just gonna try and abuse that maybe in the future, and I guess we'll see where we go.
For sure. And of course, sort of taking a step back, not just from this competition, but from the program as a whole, University of Hawaii has had sort of the high highs of the past as well, and now sort of come back down to earth a little bit. What are you sort of trying to tell to all the other programs out there about your team and what we should be watching out for the future as well?
Honestly, just keep watching us. We're super happy to play, and we're really excited to try and win this thing. So
Well, fantastic. I know I personally very excited to see more of what Hawaii has in store for us as we get into these later weeks. But before we wrap things up here, Broom, do want to thank you and give you the opportunity for any shout outs as my final question.
okay, so this is gonna be a long list here.
All right,
Uh,
let's do it.
so thanks to my parents, thanks to the team. Obviously, they played insane. Thanks for the coaching staff, Coach Shinigami, as always, amazing. Shout out to Team Alaska White. They're, I think, our best scrim partners, I'd say. And thanks to the iLab staff here, they let us play on the computers that are really good. And yeah. Oh, and shout out to the broadcast team on EGF, because I know how hard production is.
Yeah. Uh, us casters will never tell production how valuable their job is because we're at the front, but no, Broom. Once again, big shout outs. We much appreciate you being here, and once again, a big congratulations to you and your team for your victory here today.
Thank you, thank you.
And with that, Adam, I think we are almost ready to wrap things up. However, folks, make sure you tune in with us next week to see more fantastic Valorant action. Adam, any final thoughts?
Honestly, great games today. I was super excited to get back behind the mic. Excited to see how the rest of this season turns out because we've seen that it's sort of back and forth. You never really know what's going to happen on any given week of EGF. So always intriguing to see how it continues to build as we get closer to playoffs and beyond.
And the only way we're going to find out, folks, is if you come in and tune in with us here, same time, same place every week for the next 3 or 4 weeks, however many we have left. But until then, folks, we hope to see you then, and stay safe and take care, everyone.